Live from Mortgage One Studio, Russ Clark with you on a Tuesday morning, 6:03 on Tuesday morning. Yeah, I'm 3 minutes early. I mean, late. 3 minutes late. Phone line's open. The phone line is currently my cell phone, 928-941-0304. Feel welcome to call. The disclaimer. Let me read that real quick. All content presented on the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals as provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studios does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statement made by third parties during programming. Good morning. One other thing. I told the church, the Baptist church, I'm sorry, Maranatha Vacation Bible School will start June 29th to July 3rd. It's located at 306 South 23rd Street. That's near Avenue B and 3rd. So it's a neighborhood place. It's a nice little church. Mel Shoney went there forever. Mel, if you remember Mel from the show, he went there for many years. So I've been there. But any questions about the Bible study? 928-329-9973. Reading a lot about the shooting at the White House Correspondent Dinner. I want to cover a little bit of that this morning. I'm always interested in the fallout, what happens afterwards, who's talking about it, and what they're saying. Bruce Springsteen, who's been a very much a critic of Donald Trump, he's even taken to his tour, his newest tour, Land of Hope and Dreams American tour, and taken the time in between music to bash our good president. After the shooting, when he was in Austin, Texas, he was at the Moody Center in Austin, Texas, for his show. He said, "We begin tonight with a prayer for our men and women in service overseas. We pray for their safe return. We also send out prayers of thanks that our president, nor anyone in the administration, nor anyone attending was injured at last night's incident at the White House correspondence dinner. We can disagree. We can be critical of those in power, and we can peacefully fight for our beliefs, but there is no place in any way, shape, or form for political violence of any kind in our beloved United States." Wow, I was very, very happy with Bruce Springsteen. I mean, he's been kind of a jerk about a lot of the things going on recently with anti-Trump stuff mixed in with his tour. Wow, and he's entitled to his opinion. I mean, politically, that's fine. I thought he was over the top with his no kings type embrace. But yeah, and he wrote a song called Streets of Minneapolis, protest song. Well, he's entitled to do that. Criticize the Trump administration, deployment of thousands of federal agents, crack down on illegal immigration in Minnesota. And many people have that viewpoint that we shouldn't have a crackdown on illegal immigration, which is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, the laws are on the books that it's not allowed. Common sense says it's not allowed. No country allows it, going unchecked generally. But somehow this cracking down is really terrible. I was listening, and I don't remember the name of the person running for office. She was running for Congress, and she was a defund the ICE. Part of her promises on the campaign, we're going to defund ICE. We're going to get rid of them. So the question came up is, well, who would take care of the illegal immigration? What are your plan? She had nothing, totally stumped as like, I guess nobody even thought to ask that. And I'm assuming she was Democrat. I'm pretty sure she was, but she couldn't run like that as a Republican. But uh, they never think about fixing anything. It's about we're just going to get rid of it. You figure out what to do, how we handle illegals. And if you're going to handle people in the country illegally, particularly the ones that ICE is after, ICE right now, they're on their hit list is all the ones that are the worst, the worst of the worst. The one that have convictions or are wanted for crimes far beyond just breaking into the country illegally, either at their home country or here. And I got to verify that. I mean, I got to clarify that because we've had many people say, well, these people haven't even been convicted. Yeah, man, some of them haven't been. Some of them haven't been. Some are wanted in their foreign country. They've been convicted in their foreign countries, or maybe they've been wanted for a crime. They're a person of interest in crime. And the left just blows that off as it's no big deal. It isn't everybody. No, not everybody, particularly a guest in our country. A guest that came in uninvited, a guest that came in illegal, and they're wanted for crimes. And the left points out, well, they're liars because they weren't convicted. Yeah, you need to catch them first to convict them because some of them were wanted. But just amazing. There was well, she did finally come up with something. She said, well, I have to think about it. I mean, seriously, she paused the interview. She said, well, it should fall under Congress. Congress should take care of it, which means I don't think she's read the Constitution. Congress writes laws, most definitely. They're not the application thereof, though. So Congress, we can't stand an authoritative executive branch. We're going to have an authoritative legislative branch. Of course, it's not a solution. And, the solution is to write the laws that are acceptable. And I think the laws it's written to go after illegal immigration is acceptable. And I think the things that they're asking of ICE to cut back on, to stop doing, is not things that they're going to ask for the police force in total to do. They're just wanting ICE. I still think Trump should take that advice, and he said he's looking into it, I guess. He said he's all in favor of it and changing the name of ICE, which Trump loves changing the name anyway. And he just put an N in front of it and said, immigration custom enforcement would become national immigration customs enforcement. They would be nice. I would love to see that, just to see the newscasters have to say it. Nice. Something tells me they might not. Yeah, they might. They might skip that altogether and not say it. They might just say the office formerly known as ICE or something. Taking a book out of Prince, which was a brilliant move by Prince, by the way. Let's say, no, Prince had contracts with a company, record contracts and recording contracts and all that kind of stuff. And part of that contract incorporated his name, Prince, I guess. And when those contracts were canceled, or he moved on and wanted to be somebody, they said, well, you can't use the name. Can't use the name for a number of years. I don't remember what exactly it was. Couldn't use the name. So he changed his name to a symbol that is not verbalized. It's just a symbol. So every time he was introduced, they had to introduce him verbally as the artist formerly known as Prince. That way he's not using the name. Other people chose to identify him the only way they knew how, verbally, which was just brilliant. Just brilliant. Eventually he got his name back. He's passed now. He doesn't have any more, which is also interesting. He passed without a will, without a living trust or any of those things. And he had no children. Although I think it was 350 people that signed up that said they were his child. I was one of them, even though I'm older. The guy was worth $500 million. It's worth a shot. I guess that's what 350 people thought. I don't think any of it ever panned out. None of them. He didn't have any children. I don't know what happened to the money. I don't know. Maybe the states got it. He was from a northern state somewhere. Getting back to the the correspondence dinner. Hakeem Jeffries was criticized, which was interesting. He and he's been really aggressively harsh, asking for war. What they're doing against the Republican Party is war. Uh, so because of the shooting and all that, I thought that he would be more sensitive at this time when another assassination attempt on the president of the United States and others in the leadership and all that. But he was going to have nothing of it, and Levitt specifically, our press secretary came out after the assassination, and she was there. She was sitting next to Melania Trump, by the way. She was up front on the dais there, sitting next to her when it all went down, and so she got to observe it firsthand. So she spoke, and that was her last duty. She's pregnant and going to have a child and take maternity leaves, and we're not going to see her for a few months. And she said goodbye the day before the dinner. She said goodbye. I'm not going to see you again. I'm taking time off. Look forward to being back. All that kind of good stuff. Well, she came back after that dinner anyway, and she said, and she started off that speech. If you haven't seen that, get that on YouTube. Take a look at it. But she started off that talking about I had to come back because of this incident. I wanted to talk about it, and she did. And she took questions and all that kind of stuff. But she was very hard, particularly on the Democrats that just spew hate and violence and nonsense, and calling Trump a Nazi and a king and all the stuff that incites crazies, incites people. This is the third attempt on Trump's life. It's more than that, but that's the third where shots were fired. I mean, there was somebody broke into Mar-a-Lago to get him. He wasn't home, and I think that guy, I think he succumbed to gunshots. I think, and there's been, of course, there's been others that have done things on social media and all, but I don't know how they all pan out. But there's been 3 where shots were fired, and it's not a coincidence. And Trump mentioned himself that he studied assassinations and studied attempted assassinations. It doesn't take a lot of studying to find out that some presidents were more apt to be shot at than others, and they had in common in that they were very successful. Yeah, they got things done, like Lincoln got things done, and Kennedy, although Kennedy was early on, but he put himself in that, and it's all true. This guy is doing stuff. He didn't take it as the end of a career or a crescendo in his career. He took it to get things done, and he's doing what he's promised. And the left hates that because they have a complete different understanding on the way the country should run, and it's not based in constitutional values. So Levitt mentioned Jeffries by name as being one of the harsh ones, because he is. He had just a few days before had said that because of the redistricting or something, we're at a war, and he put up posters and showed Trump in black and white, looking like a war battle guy. That we're at war with the Republican Party, and spewed a lot of hate and nonsense about how bad they are, which is part of our problem right now. A lot of people spewing about how bad someone else is without having any constructive ideas on where to take the country that's good for the people. And I think the left is more prone to add fear, hostility, and anger and all their rhetoric, and you don't really know what they stand for. You know what they stand against. We stand for eliminating Trump, and that's why they've done poll numbers in the past that show that a high percentage, particularly of younger people, think that assassination is it's a viable exit strategy to remove somebody. Amazing, but that's going on in our country right now. And Hakeem Jeffries is one of the leaders. He's the House Minority Leader, where he wants to be the Speaker of the House, saying hateful things. Well, he didn't like it that Levitt pointed it out. So he's doubling down. Not like Springsteen. He didn't come out with anything nice to say. He says, I stand by it. I don't give a damn. Right. Because he was asked about his vow last week to unleash maximum warfare. That was his vow. I'm going to unleash maximum warfare on the GOP to counter the party's redistricting efforts ahead of November's midterm elections. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism. That phase, maximum warfare, all the time came from the White House in the summer of 2025 when they started this redistricting battle. And now they're big mad. Why? Because Democrats have decided to finish it, get lost. Nice guy, right? Nice guy. He had harsh words for Carolyn Levitt, was ready to give, she's ready to have a child. Come on, man. He labeled as a disgrace and a stone cold liar. Because she criticized Democrats. Well, the rhetoric of the Democrats. The ones that label Trump as an essential threat. And you've heard it from Democrats for many years now. From Biden. The worst threat to the country is white supremacy. It's gone on and on. Now we find out it was the Southern Poverty Law Center that was propping that stuff up. I don't know how many of these assassination attempts you've seen with people wearing red MAGA hat. In fact, Samoye, the Chicago actor, had to manufacture that too. He went to Subway in the middle of the night and a couple MAGA guys came up and put a noose around his head and said you had to wear it home. And he did. It was crazy. It was all that was the violence from the left, which of course the two guys that did it came forward. They were his bodyguards. He paid them to do it. That's according to court records. He still denies it, though. Jeffrey says this so-called White House press secretary wants to lecture America and lecture us about civility. Get lost. Sound very civil. Clean up your own house before you have anything to say to us about the language we use. And Levitt did say, when you have mentally disturbed individuals across the country who are listening to this crazed rhetoric about the president day after day, it inspires them to do crazy things. All true. The National Republican Congressional Committee criticized Jeffries for his comments. Mike Marinello said Democrats are playing with fire and pretending they don't smell the smoke. If they can't bring themselves to put an end to this kind of rhetoric, it proves they'll do anything to appease their far left base. Let me see. Jeffries on Monday blasted a proposal new congressional map that Florida Republican legislature is expected to pass, which I think they did today, didn't they? Did the governor sign that? If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think that's been passed. It's aimed at erasing Democrats' gains in Virginia, which the gains in Virginia have already been stopped by a judge. Now we'll see what the appeal does. But just from looking at it on the surface, it looks like they violated all their own constitutional requirements to do such things. And every state has its own rules and regulations on that. You just can't change them on a whim any more than you can change our Constitution on a whim. But the Dems did. They went around it from what it looks like to me, and the judge agreed and said, you didn't even file this properly. You didn't have the required time frames and everything. Well, Jeffries goes on to talk about Florida. It said this so-called map, which is a DeSantis dummy-mander, calls it a dummy-mander, a gerrymander, actually is blatantly unconstitutional. Well, and I'd be curious. I mean, people throw that word out there, unconstitutional, and doesn't have any basis on it. I'd like to see what his base is on unconstitutionality. It's not unconstitutionally federally. And feds aren't going to stop it. You might have a state constitutional issue, and I don't know that they do. I think that DeSantis is smart enough not to even try that, but we'll see. Jeffrey says Florida is not going to make a meaningful difference if it relates to their efforts to the midterm elections. That effort has failed. I think that's a prediction, not a fact, because the midterms aren't over. So I would call that a prediction versus, I think that's efforts are going to fail versus has failed. I think the Virginia efforts have failed unless the judge turns that around. But I don't see any reason for that to change. Let me see. I'm just going to check my phone real quick. Let me read something from my fact checker this morning. Mayor Mandani of New York City is looking at a new hotel tax that would have hotels pay and, of course, charge to their guests an entertainment tax of $100 a night. Now, each room would be charged this inside the hotel, even if they're not being used, adding millions of new fees to an already struggling industry as New York City's council is exploring a $30 minimum wage up from the current $17 minimum. These people have gone insane. I think Mandani's looking at New York City like they don't have any choice. This is the only city you can come to. This is the only city that does what you guys need done. This is it. It's New York City or it's nothing. I'm guessing that's the way he's looking at it, because nobody in their right mind is going to chase all this business out by putting $100 a night tax on each room. $100 a night. Even in New York, that's significant. That's not a small amount. It's been a while since I've stayed in New York. It's been a few years, but we'd stay in Times Square for $400 or $500 a night. So $100 addition, that's a big chunk. That's not a 2% tax. That's a heck of a lot more than that. And it says you'd be charged this inside the hotel, even if it's not being used. They say add in millions. I don't think it's going to add millions. I think they're going to lose millions because of it, because it's going to chase people away, and we're going to have less people staying in hotel rooms. I would guess. I mean, if you have a convention going to New York City, you may want to think twice about that. There's other cities that are doing remarkable things. It's not one of them. You remember after the correspondence dinner, Trump went to 60 Minutes to do an interview. I'm sure it was pre-planned or something. And Nora O'Donnell was with his 60 Minutes. She's the commentator. Really irritated our good president. And she read the manifesto of the would-be assassin. She read it, and where it describes it that Trump is a pedophile and Trump is a disgrace and all that kind of stuff. Which was, if you saw it, it's kind of disturbing that she would just sit there in front of the president and read this garbage from a crazy man. Well, Trump didn't act very positively to it. In fact, he questioned O'Donnell about that. But she read that he was a rapist, a pedophile, and a traitor. Just read it from the manifesto, thinking, I guess she's covered because she's reading it from somebody else, so it's not she's doing it. And Trump says, and O'Donnell says, do you think he was referring to you? Trump says, I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from a sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein and other things. But I said to myself, I'll do the interview and I read the manifesto. He's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things. Well, O'Donnell even interrupted and said, well, I'm quoting the gunsman's words. Well, that's very convenient. You can quote that. And, but Trump called her disgraceful. says you shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. Go ahead. Let's finish the interview. That's what Trump said. Well, Trump's actions towards Nora O'Donnell, after Nora O'Donnell did that, infuriated the First Lady of California. First Lady of California, Jennifer Sybil Newsom, decided to go on X and just rip into Donald Trump. I can't think of a time when a governor's wife or someone that Newsom obviously wants to be president, that she sees herself as a first lady someday or something. I mean, Melania Trump has finally stood up a lot for herself after 10 years of crap, but she's being reasonable about it. And Jennifer hasn't made it that far. I mean, well, she's first lady of California. That's no small feat, She married the right guy. Well, she says, speaking to a woman journalist with that level of contempt, which I find ridiculous. That she's a woman journalist, so you have a different protocol than you do. I thought we were in a new age, and now all this equal rights and all this stuff. Apparently not, according to Newsom. No, you have to be on better behavior, even if they're doing crazy stuff. She says, my family and I watched 60 Minutes interview with Donald Trump and Nora O'Donnell last night, and we were shocked seeing a president speak to a woman journalist with that level of contempt and a clear allergy to facts. It's disturbing, though at this point, not unexpected, given his pattern of behavior. But that is the problem, because when the level of disrespect from the highest office in the country repeats itself, it starts to trickle down to our culture and define what power looks like, shaping how boys and plenty of men see women and girls, and that they come to accept as normal behavior. I thought what was normal behavior is that women could do that job as any man could do. Not they would do it in a different manner because they're women or need to be treated differently. But I think everybody that knows Trump knows if you poke the bear, he's going to poke back. I don't think that's even a question. I think everybody understands that. Sybil goes on to say that the interview was the culture of misogyny exhibited by Trump. It's and all of us, and it has to end. It's on all of us. And in rhetoric rooted in political division, amplified by a digital ecosystem that rewards outrage and misinformation, and this culture norm of hate, othering, and misogyny becomes pervasive. Behavior that should be challenged gets normalized. What should raise concern is amplified and cheered on. It's no wonder we have a culture that normalizes dominance and aggression towards women and girls, which not only silences them, but also leads to internalized misogyny in others. I didn't see any of that myself. I had to go back and look at it and say, well, was he being misogynistic or disrespecting women or something? I think he focused on the content of the discussion myself. I mean, he didn't, patronize her or anything. Said, well, little lady, let me tell you how this works or something. It was nothing like that. It was. I don't see the misogyny in that, so that's maybe a micro expression or something. I think he spoke to her like he would any journalist, which should be just accepted. But I guess there's a sensitivity from Sybil Newsom. I guess there's, she's looking for something different. New York Post columnist Miranda Devine said, what's really disgusting about this clip is Nora O'Donnell's fake innocent surprise. Oh, you think he was referring to you? Yeah, I think so. She knows perfectly well that every day some fellow Democrat like Ted Lieu calls Trump a pedophile and rapist. Yeah. Their white supremacy lies ran out of steam, so this is a new hoax, rich from a party that protects illegal alien child molesters. Newt Gingrich even chimed in, which I guess you see Newt occasionally. He's still relevant, still on the news. Nora O'Donnell may have reached the low point in disgusting and inhumane demography disguised as journalist. The idea that you would take the vicious, dishonest, and disgusting words of a would-be killer who had been blocked by Secret Service but would otherwise have killed a lot of people, and you would dignify them by putting them on the air and asking the President of the United States to comment is about as destructive as anything a major reporter has done in a long time. Good for Newt Gingrich. I think that was well said, by the way. I think that was excellent. News alert from my fact checker. It's nice to have him online. The UAE to withdraw from OPEC oil cartel. Now, that is a surprise. Although you don't hear a lot about the cartel as much. I mean, you do occasionally, but he said the United Arab Emirates will withdraw from Organization of the Petroleum Exploring Countries, OPEC. On May 1st, the UAE state news agency said this decision aligns with the United Arab Emirates' long-standing strategic and economic vision and the development of its energy sector, including accelerating investment in domestic energy production. The statement said OPEC is a group of major oil-producing nations that coordinates production policies to influence global oil supply and prices. Wow. Well, maybe OPEC has outlived its usefulness, much like NATO. Yeah, they were designed for a time that doesn't exist anymore. Maybe things have changed. Didn't think about it. I hadn't thought much about OPEC in a while. One time they had a real stranglehold on things. They really drove prices up. They controlled a lot. I mean, they still control a lot, but I mean, a good percentage of the oil. Not as much as they did. Good for them. Fetterman comments on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He is the one rational Democrat. I don't always agree with him, but he is rational. John Fetterman says we really have to just turn that temperature down. The president was shot in the head in my own state back in Butler, too. People they forget that, too. We really got lucky because it could have been far more even catastrophic. And I'm so grateful no one was hurt. Well, people were hurt in Butler. People were killed in Butler. He's, I'm sure, referencing the White House Correspondents' Dinner at that point. And this killer actually wrote in his manifesto that his targets were the Trump administration officials, except FBI Director Kash Patel. And I don't know why I'm curious, but I'm curious about why not Kash Patel? I mean, he's an effective, aggressive FBI guy. I don't know why he likes Kash Patel. Now, the would-be shooter did contribute to Kamala Harris's 24 election cycle. It was $25, but that's a contribution. If everybody gave $25, that would be a lot. He faces 3 counts: attempt to assassinate the president of the United States. I didn't even know that was an actual law, that it was attempting to assassinate would be, you can't plan to kill somebody, but to specifically say the United States, the president of the United States, but maybe if that's what they charged him with. Transporting a firearm across state lines. And I'm really curious about that one. I'm going to have to ask Dean about that. Does that mean that if I drive to California, I'm not supposed to have a gun in the car? Or is it just because he committed crimes with said gun? I don't know. I would ask. And discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. Melania, actually, and I mentioned that, she's usually not too engaged politically. She usually bites her lip. She's been doing a little bit more now lately, especially when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel. Because Jimmy Kimmel calls her out by name, So Melania pushed back a little bit. Kimmel on Thursday before the dinner said, our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful, Miss Trump. You have a glow like an expected widow. Now, he said that night before as a parody, talking about what the White House Correspondents' Dinner is going to be like, or how they're going to be, how he would do it if he was, I guess, running the show, which of course he was not asked to do that. Melania says his monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. And Donald Trump actually pitched in too and says ABC should immediately fire Kimmel over the despicable call to violence. John Fitterman says, I've always refused that kind of language. And I strongly and in the strongest terms, I reject the extreme rhetoric for anyone at this point. Now, during the, or after the shooting incident, which only a police officer was hurt he got hit in the bulletproof vest, which my understanding is getting hit in the bulletproof vest is not a pain-free incident, but generally not fatal. It might result in a few cracks in the bones, though. That could be painful. Trump has reignited the calls to build the ballroom at the White House to create a space for safe and secure events. Of course, the White House Correspondents' Dinner had 2,600 people at it. The White House ballroom, even though it's going to be large, and a lot of people talk about that, about how large it is, it's only going to seat 600 to 900, depending on how they set them. You're not going to get 2,600 people in the White House ballroom, but that's okay. You don't have to have that big an event there. I mean, right now, I think they have 200 available, which is way too small. The White House ballroom is a must. I think it, and I think Trump's right to mention it, that it even brings more light to why it's needed in these times. That the rhetoric in the country is spooled up, and it doesn't seem to be coming down. The heat's going up. I mean, look at the way Hakeem Jeffries just said, "No way, I'm backing off." He's going to continue on, and I'm sure that's a sentiment felt by most, not by Fetterman, which is good. You see, my fact checker, he commented that being hit with a bulletproof vest, on, is more than a few cracked bones. It's rather extremely painful. If you would like a demonstration, I can arrange a visit to Central America, which happened to him, actually. In fact, I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks. I thought, and I was told by his staff that he had an incident, but he's okay, and all that kind of stuff. I thought they were covering for him or something. I said something's more serious here going on. He was silent for a couple of weeks. I was getting a little panicked about it, actually. Like, what the heck happened to Edward? And he finally called me. I guess he didn't realize that I was concerned. Of course, I didn't. I don't know if I said something to somebody finally, and he called me right away and said he's been laying low and healing because he did crack a few bones. It was, I'm sure, painful, buddy. I'm sure it was. And no, I don't want to take you up on a demonstration. I'm going to take your word for it because I trust you. Fetterman says, talking about the Washington Hill, we said they held it at the Washington Hill and was improperly secure, especially since the line of presidential succession was in attendance. See, I know a lot of people have come out and said that. Of course, I don't have any expertise to say it is or it isn't. But I'd be curious to have a evaluation by some security experts that would tell me that. Now, we did see the guy run and get shot at, which I think they said was Secret Service, and they missed him, which surprises me. But they stopped him and tackled him and all that kind of stuff. Now, he was not on this, he was not in the room. He wasn't even on the same floor in the building. Did you know that? Nah, he was upstairs. I guess, from what I've read since, that the ballroom is in the basement. He was not on the basement level. He was on a level above that. And they had apparently a checkpoint at that place that he ran through. I mean, like he was running a sprint. I don't know how he thought he would get through that. I mean, he still would have had to travel, down. I don't know if that's an elevator, stairs, or what it is. I have no idea, but I don't know if the security's lax, and the security has many layers usually. I'm sure there was a lot of security around outside the building that was checking people coming in and all that. He was already in the building, and I guess it was a little more lax once you were in the building. Once you were in the building and you passed through that, you more lax. But he arrived in the building not the day of, but before that. I think it was a day before that he arrived in the building, and perhaps they weren't checking that thoroughly, so he hid out in his room. He still didn't get in the basement, but I don't know. It could be a fair comment. I'd be curious to read a report after he comes out to see if they missed something. He's in full support of building the White House ballroom, and that's Fetterman. Called his Democrat colleagues to drop the TDS and help build the building. We need to have a secure facility for events like this. We can't ever allow it to be exposed in that way to an attack. That hotel was never designed to do that in a safe way. Our country deserves that. And we're going to create a venue for more secure and inclusive and really more accessible for people. And they built that hotel many years ago. I stayed in that hotel in 1974, before Reagan was shot. I was in high school, so it was a big deal then. Edward had some more stuff. It says the Washington Hilton, the Hinckley Hilton, they call it, I guess, nickname over John Hinckley, has a unique layout. It's built into the side of a hill. The hotel is the only hotel in DC that has the main ballroom is underground. Well, that sounds pretty secure. You're not going to get in a window if it's underground. That sounds more secure than most. And obviously, this guy didn't get in there, but I can't comment on the overall security until we hear from some professionals on all that. But whether you say it was secure or not secure, he didn't get into that place. Let me see. I have. Let me see. Comments from Whoopi Goldberg. Now, Whoopi Goldberg has had an ongoing feud with Trump since he came down the golden elevator. And he was like that before that. In fact, he's been on The View before that. She's calling on him to build a new hotel. They're not talking about the one on the grounds. She says, here's something, who always talks about he's a builder. He knows how to do this. Maybe he needs to build a new hotel that is big enough ballroom where they don't have to go to the Hilton, where the ballroom is under the building. This is what he says he does well. Forget about destroying the White House. I don't think he's destroying the White House. I think he's upgrading the White House, Whoopi. I'm saying maybe it's time someone built a hotel with a bigger ballroom, because the ballroom, you're never going to have enough seats for everybody. You're just not. It's always going to be more people show up, less people. You're never going to know. Maybe that's something when he stops being president. So he's saying, quit being president, go back to being a builder and build a bigger one. Well, that Hilton takes 2,600 people. That's pretty good size. I don't know too many places that could do that. But if you can find one, Whoopi, and I don't know if there's a need for one bigger than that, but maybe. He says, Goldberg says we have to do a better job, and thank God for the Secret Service. And everyone says better job, better job. How much better job can you have that you took the guy alive and he didn't make it even onto the level? Again, we'll wait for the experts. I don't think Goldberg's one of them. Thank God that, this thing was in the basement where you couldn't get to him. So you had to go here and there before you could even get there. So thank goodness for that. But there has to be a better way to do this. There just has to be. I actually was in the basement at the Hilton. In 1974, I was a high school, and it was a VICA national contest. I'd won the state contest on drafting and design, believe it or not. I was a draftsman, for vocational in in high school, and I won some state contests in the state, and they sent me to Washington D.C., which was a blast. I did not win the nationals, by the way. I did not, but I did win the state. The but and that's where they held it. They held it in that huge room downstairs where there's a lot of different events going on. Mine was sitting at a desk with paper, was drafting, mechanical engineering type stuff. Co-host Sonny Houston said during the discussion that people should be outraged that a shooter allegedly tried to kill Trump and members of his administration. Senator Tim Sheehy, a Republican out of Montana, he announced he's going to try to fast track a bill to give congressional approval for construction of the ballroom in the Senate when the upper chamber returns this week. And I have a couple things about that. The White House has been added to and taken away from for many years. It's been burnt down from the inside. The outside stood, but they burned it. They've gutted it a couple times completely. During World War II, they gutted it. Because it was old school. It didn't have it was built without plumbing. It was built without wiring. It was built a long time ago. You couldn't plug the vacuum cleaners in, and you didn't have bathrooms. Indoor bathrooms were not available in the original White House. So they've gutted this thing quite a number of times, and including World War II, because the structure just wasn't holding up, and they couldn't expand on it. Yeah, you can get pictures of it on the internet where they take pictures of the inside of the White House, where it's just dirt on the ground, and the exterior is standing, being shored up, but they've got backhoes and earth movers inside, setting up a new foundation probably. So, but no congressional approval was ever given for any of that stuff. That was all done by the presidents. Now, all of a sudden, Trump's in, we need congressional approval, according to a judge, which is just, it's insane. The judge just wrote the rule and then enforced it. Said, yeah, you need congressional approval. I say you don't have it. Well, where does it say you need congressional approval for that? That's not what it's done ever. Now, so I feel kind of mixed about Tom Sheehy. I know he's trying to shortcut and just say, like, let's get rid of this judge. But then you said a president that congressional approval needs to oversee a White House. Then it becomes political. It's something that's needed, like the ballroom, which I think most sane people would agree with. 100% minus one Democrats that are in leadership disagree with. We don't want enhancements under Trump. And that's the TDS speaking. There's no other reason, and that office space that he cut down in the East Wing was not original to the White House. It was built after, and they had to take out greenhouse or something to even build a small office building or something there, and then they tore that out to replace it with a double, 2-story type deal, where offices and stuff. It was nothing, that had a lot of historical significance, because I don't remember when it was built. I think it was built around World War II or something, the second story and all that stuff. And to make room for a big ballroom, to take that out, and it makes perfect sense. And I don't care if Obama's president. It wouldn't matter to me, but I guess there's people that are politically motivated, and the politics get in the middle of it, and they don't make common sense. It's more like winning and losing a battle versus doing what's right for the country or what's right for the property. But Tim Sheehy, I think, he's trying to get it done. He says it's an embarrassment to the strongest nation on earth that we cannot host gatherings in our nation's capital, including ones attended by our president, without the threat of violence and attempted assassinations. Agreed. It is. It's terrible. And I think that should be taken care of. But I don't know if going to tell Congress giving them the permission to build, when, as far as I understand, no permission's necessary. He's got it handled. Jasmine Crockett has some social media. Now, Jasmine Crockett was the up and coming Democrat, as far as attention and stuff, like an AOC, outrageous, outlandish, dancing videos, and whatever she had to do to, and she was successful. She got a lot of attention. And she's still a Democrat, and she still holds position right now, but she won't for much longer because she's not on the ballot anywhere. Yeah, they redistrict Texas, and they wrote her district out pretty much, and so she decided not to run as a representative in the new district or whatever the gerrymandering did. She ran for the Senate, and she lost in the primary. And they put somebody worse than Crockett in, somebody more wacko than Crockett actually were voted in. She wasn't radical and wacko enough. They put someone else in as a to run for the Senate as a Democrat, which is crazy. Well, she says, I'm grateful that everyone attending tonight's White House Correspondents' Dinner is safe. Has there ever been a president have so many close attempts on their life? Posting that about Trump, the answer is no. According to what I've been hearing recently from a lot of commentators that say they've done the research, that as far as being shot at, he holds the record right now. And I know Lincoln, some things I've read about Lincoln is that he was shot at before. I don't know that it was heavily documented like it is now. He was shot at when he was riding horseback, going somewhere, probably unaccompanied in different times. Well, then she says, well, maybe it's lax gun laws. Really? Maybe it's lack of mental health funding, or maybe it's fake. Yeah, I mean, she took an attempt at showing some humility and showing some humanistic value, and then she ruins it. Lax gun laws. Like, I don't think so. He bought the guns legally, by the way. He transported them illegally. He broke the law. He shot them illegally. He brought them into D.C. illegally. He broke laws. So you have another gun law. I don't think it's going to fix what the criminal's going to do. It just keeps honest people and people that follow the laws handicapped and handcuffed on what they can do with their firearms. And then to go on to say it's fake. After we need mental health funding, I'll agree with her. We probably do, but it has nothing to do with this. And I don't know if this guy would have qualified for mental health. On the surface, he was a school teacher and he looked competent and all that. He just was crazy. Question is, who made him crazy? What was he listening to? What was he doing? I know Gilbert calls up all the time and talks about video games should be taken off or do something about so kids can't see them because they're violent and they might create violence. I don't know that that's what created his violence. I think his violence is probably created by that bubble he lives in that listens to a constant barrage of Trump being Hitler. He's being the Fury. He's worse than Hitler. He's responsible for hatred. He's responsible for violence. He's a pedophile. He's a rapist. That stuff goes on and on and on all day. You listen to it long enough, he thought he was doing humanity a favor, probably, which is really dumb. He should have listened to more input before he did that. Is that whole thing? Well, if you could go back in time, would you kill Hitler? Well, Hitler killed, I think, 70 million people, or 70 million people died during World War II. And I don't know what, 6 million Jews or 8 million Jews on top of that. So, question was, would you kill Hitler? Well, they've dressed him as Hitler for so long now that maybe people think they're doing humanity a favor, because they're that deranged. But I don't know that's mentally incompetent. I just think that's scripted. So she's no different. And then this article actually has a little blurb about the White House ballroom, about the construction was halted twice. And, it says multiple occasions, and halted construction. Ruling that it lacked congressional approval, again, which is just ridiculous because they never had that before. But it's going to go through the courts, and Trump honors it. And he's still building, though. The building's going on because it's, the judge also said, well, you can continue building where safety concerns and all that. Well, they're building the basement first. That's what goes in as the foundation. And that foundation and basement includes safe rooms and stuff for the safety and security of the president and others. That was all incorporated in it, which we didn't know about that until this judge ruling. At least I didn't. I hadn't heard anything about that, but I think the Pentagon's involved in that and designing and making sure that all happens. And this thing is supposed to be bulletproof and bomb-proof and all those kind of things to protect guests and protect people. Of course, without the ballroom, you're not going to have a lot of guests, are you? You have some guests at the White House. You're not going to have 1,000. And I know the ballroom will take over 1,000, but not for dinner. Have tables. It's gonna tie some of that space. Let me see. Ben Stiller. He also got in trouble about the White House security scare. But Ben Stiller really didn't say anything about it. But his social media tweet was misunderstood. 20 minutes after the scare at the White House, correspondence dinner there at the Hilton, 20 minutes after, Ben Stiller puts out on X a message with just 3 words. It said, "Got it done." Well, that thing went viral. Got it done. A lot of people asking him, got what done? And they assumed that he was talking about the shooting at the White House dinner. That's what it was. It was a correspondence dinner. He got it done. And it was, Representative Nancy Macy has got what done? And then it went 10 million views. Everyone was reacting to Ben Stiller, assuming. I mean, I don't remember specifically anything that Ben Stiller said about Trump, but I don't think he's a Trumpster. I don't think so. What got done was he was at a Knicks game. The Knicks had just won 114-98. Just as they won that game, he said, "Got it done," and that meant that they're going to the playoffs. It was a playoff matchup against the Atlanta Hawks and the New York Knicks, and he's apparently an avid basketball fan. And someone, let me see, Richard Greenell, he said, WTF. But people that know Ben Stiller apparently know that he's a Knicks basketball guy. And he tweets about it all the time. It's like his full-time job. So right after the buzzer sounded, he put "Got it done," wrapping up a night-long running commentary on the game. He did not answer the nonsense that went on, but he kept tweeting about the Knicks. Which I think is a good thing to do. I mean, I don't know what you say. He may not even have been aware if he was at the Knicks game. He may not have been aware of the. I mean, everybody has a cell phone, and I'm sure people at the game, some of them would have been aware, but not everybody. But he kept talking about the Knicks game. So yeah, people overreacted. Maybe. I don't know. And a little bit more about Jimmy Kimmel. Some of the things he said after he trashed the first lady and all that, he's denying it and he's sticking with it. He said this was Thursday and there was no big reaction to it until this morning when I greeted the day facing yet another Twitter vomit storm. This is Kimmel being the victim now. I'm just so misunderstood. No, your hatred towards Trump is very understood. He said, "I said our first lady Melania is out there. Look at her. She's so beautiful. This is from The Glow, like an expectant widow," which obviously was a joke about their age difference. And the look of joy we see on her face every time they were together. It was a very light roast joke about the fact that he's almost 80 and she's younger than I am. It's not. It was not by any stretch, by the definition, a call to assassination, and they know that. I don't think they know. I don't think they knew it, Jimmy. I mean, when I read your comment, I didn't think that. I thought it was outrageous, just based on Butler, based on Charlie Cook, based on the things that went on in Florida. I thought it was. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, Sandy. Good morning.
I've been enjoying your explanation about the White House correspondent dinner shooter.
Thanks.
And I just wanted to emphasize one part, and that basically the manifesto shows just a compilation of the Democrat Party and the media's talking points over and over and over with anti-Trump rhetoric. And I'm not saying he put it over and over again. I'm saying they repeat it over and over and over again.
Right.
And to me, what they're doing is they're creating monsters. And these monsters then go out, kind of like if you were Osama bin Laden and you wanted to put one of those vests on where the people blow themselves up. So they don't want to get their hands dirty, but they talk and talk and talk and encourage people that have issues, or actually I think they believe them, and they go out and do the dirty work for them. And I know you're against this, but there needs to be some consequences, because in a way, they're actually the co-conspirators, just like they were with the Russia collusion hoax. And yet they never face any consequences because they've pretty much indoctrinated their voters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a problem. And I liked what Caroline Leavitt did.
Oh,
because she didn't just say it generically.
No.
She mentioned their names.
Oh.
And she mentioned also that she has pages and pages of that. So I don't know how it would be done, but it almost needs to be put out there like she did. Of course, she's going on maternity leave, so that may not happen. But frequently needs to be put out there, maybe not the same people all the time, but put out the different people that are saying this and emphasize that this needs to stop, because I really don't think they're going to stop. I think it's a sickness with them. And unfortunately, their voters share the same sickness because they've consumed the propaganda. And it just is a shame.
Yeah.
I'm glad for Fetterman, and I'm surprised, but I'm really glad for him. And they probably will get rid of him. If I was him, I would become a Republican or an independent, and I'd run again, because the Pennsylvania people might want someone more like him than they would one of these crazy Democrats. But you can't trust the Democrats either. We need to always be careful, because the lady in Virginia showed us, of course, she's former CIA. I don't think we should vote for any CIA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, professional liars.
I know they have the right
out.
to run.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're just liars. Well, what was their occupation?
Liars.
Their occupation is to lie.
Yes.
Right. So she just decided she'd tell people whatever, and then she'd do whatever she wanted to do.
I think that's right. I do.
And I just wish we could get through to some of these people. Now, it's not all just like the fake media that we'd hear on TV or on podcasts. Well, maybe they are podcasts. There's something called a Blue Sky that this kid was listening to too.
Yeah, that's social media.
He sounds right. So they hear this stuff on social media, and they hear it on like CNN, and they hear it from Democrat politicians, like you mentioned, Ted Lieu, and they can't discern that these people are lying to them. They think that they're telling them the truth,
right? Because
they lack discernment, and that could be a maturity level. But then the really I've complained about this for years. I remember calling you years ago saying that the FBI showed signs of being extremely immature when we heard about what they were doing, and they were messing around with each other, and some of the texts they were writing to each other, you know, like the lovebirds Page and Struck, and just very immature. And there's a lot of immaturity in the Democrat Party. And Schumer might not be like that, because I've always disliked him, because he's just definitely anti-Trump, but anti-gun. But he might have been different, except he's afraid of losing his job. And so basically any good person from there, like maybe a Joe Manchin, who left, you know, has no chance, because the radicals seem to be able to bully them around.
Yep.
But people need to remember that when you create monsters can turn on you. And
absolutely,
that's happened in history.
You know, I'm going to agree with you. I don't know what to do with the rhetoric, because I'm a big believer in the First Amendment, and that we have a right to say things.
I know.
And I think the thing is,
I believe the First Amendment too, but if you can't say a bad word, if you're not allowed to say a bad word, then why are you allowed to indoctrinate people with your choice of language?
Well, you are allowed to say a bad word. Now, the FCC has 7 words you can't say on air, but you can say it on social media all you want. And I understand that on the FCC, and that's been an ongoing rule. But the thing that's going to change, if we become England and say we're going to start arresting people and putting them in jail for the words they say, because in England you can't say that. In fact, all of these Democrats that are trashing Trump by calling him Hitler and all that kind of stuff, they would be in jail in England. You know, and I don't want my country to be that either. But I think there needs to be more public condemnation and more people standing up like Levitt did, and pointing it out for what it is, and make these people explain themselves, like Jeffries just did. Jeffries had to explain himself after Levitt, and he looks like an idiot.
Right, and he was furious.
Oh,
you could tell that he was furious.
He was, and it showed who he is.
Okay, I'll agree with you. We've got to have more people stand up.
Yeah.
And it can't just be the press secretary.
No.
There's some stuff I still want to watch on my phone later. I think Jonathan Turley came out and said something. I'm kind of like behind the 8 ball. I haven't seen all the different statements, but we need more of the people that are Republicans in the House and the Senate and in the states to speak up.
Right.
And they, you know, obviously the problem sometimes is the media giving them attention, but they need to use their social media to try to get the attention and get it out. And they've got to mention their names. They can't just do it generically. They've got to do like she did, where she said their name and she said what their quote was. It's got to be, it's got to be very clear.
Right.
And I don't know how you get through, you know, like the Lincoln Project, those people are crazy too. They really are.
Well,
and, you know, I don't know how you reach people that only listen to the crackpot stuff that's not even giving them true stuff.
You're not going to reach,
lying to them all the time to make money.
You're not going to reach 100% of them. But when these politicians, if you reach the politicians, the real leaders of it, and they start losing favor for being called out on it, then we'll start making a lot of progress in that. And I'd rather have that. Now, they're going to say, well, Trump is just as bad. Yeah, Trump will call you low IQ. He'll call you lazy or Sleepy Joe or whatever. He doesn't call you Hitler and the worst threat to democracy.
No, he doesn't do that.
He's not saying you should be eliminated. He's not saying
even with Nora O'Donnell, he was just saying, you know, you're a terrible journalist.
Right.
You're a terrible group of people.
Right. It's disgusting.
He wasn't, and he's right about that.
And yet, you know, Mrs. Newsom runs off and like, it's the worst thing I've ever heard. How dare you treat a woman like that? Now, I find that insulting. Like a woman can't be a journalist and be treated like a
Well,
journalist?
it's not just that. They're the party that doesn't know what a woman is. So how in the world can you even talk about misogyny? You know,
That's a good
you know,
point.
when you were talking about that, I was going, really? You guys don't know what a woman is. You're okay with men and women's sports,
Right.
and you're going to complain about misogyny? You know, so he just treats people the same. And that's something I really enjoy about him.
Right.
And yeah, if you deserve to be fired on, he doesn't care if you're white, black,
No.
Hispanic, male, female, gay,
And
not gay.
and you
You
mentioned
know, he treats you. He treats you like a person.
you mentioned
You know, not
another problem is that a lot of people recognize that there are certain classes in the United States that are protected and you can't say things to them. And Trump doesn't recognize that.
well, no, and we shouldn't recognize
No,
that.
we shouldn't. Everybody's
So
a person.
that's bad on the people that have propagandized that too.
Yeah.
So, but the thing to realize though, this man was created, and yeah, he's the one who did the act, but he was created. It's like creating a Frankenstein, and that's what these guys are doing, thinking that they're always going to be safe, and I'm not sure that's always going to be true, because remember with the Nazis, people talked about, you know, and then there was nobody to protect me when they came for me.
Right.
I can't remember that quote, but nobody was there to protect me.
Right.
Well, you guys keep creating these monsters. These monsters might come after you. And they have created some awful people, like the guy that traveled to try to kill Kavanaugh.
Mhm.
And they don't want any responsibility, but they are responsible. And I think it helps to say their names. So I'll go with what you're saying, that just need more people to speak out, say their names, clearly what their quote was. And if somebody's doing it a lot, keep pointing it out.
Mhm.
And I think it will make the Democrat Party more furious. It might make them even worse. But
Yeah.
maybe more more intelligent Americans, I'll say that, will say, wait a minute, there's something wrong with these people.
Well,
you know, maybe more intelligent Americans will just say, and I guess there might be a better word than saying that, but will discern that there's something wrong, and that's not what we want to be a part of. I saw Bill O'Reilly, and he's talking about the family of this kid. He's ruined that family's life.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I didn't see. I started to watch the Bill O'Reilly thing. I didn't have time.
Yeah, I haven't finished it either. Oh. But it when people do this frequently, it harms their family. And he was just so wrong. Everything that he believed was a lie. So his action was taken based on lies. So he ruined his life because he believed lies. And that's where I guess I get so angry. It's not the truth. Yeah. It's not the truth that these guys are spouting. They get people to believe something that's a lie, and these people act on a lie. Because Trump is not Hitler, not a rapist.
No.
He's none of those things.
And do you think any of these people could list the accomplishments of Trump, even a couple? I don't think they could.
No, they can't even. If they go up and ask people questions, they can't even say what they're angry with Trump about.
Right.
You know, like the protesters. They're just.
Well, they say
they're
something.
Just told over and over, you gotta protest against this guy, and a lot of it is money. But it's like a lack of intelligence. In other words, I'm calling them stupid, and they are. All right. Because they're stupid because they believe lies, and they don't know how to tell the difference. They don't know how to find out, wait a minute, this is not true.
They want to get reelected and have power, and they think this is the way to do it. Because that's what they've done for many decades now, many years.
And we need for it not to happen, because we can see that when they're in power, people need to remember, what was it like with Biden and the Democrats? It was awful.
Yeah.
And things are not perfect with Trump. He hasn't got everything done. But if you'd really pay attention and remember that, for instance, just with COVID, there were a lot of mandates that kept you from doing things. You couldn't even walk out in your yard without a mask on, which I think is really stupid. You couldn't walk on the beach.
You couldn't have a family barbecue.
Correct. You couldn't go to a family's funeral.
Yeah, you had to turn the lights out if you had people over for dinner. You had to be a speakeasy type stuff.
Right. And they've forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Because their mindset, what they say is a projection.
Yeah, I know.
It's what they believe. They want everybody to do what they say. They're the biggest bullies on the block.
Yeah,
and people need to come to understand that and say, that's not the type of people you want to govern you. You don't want to be told, hey, you can't go to the beach. Because they could do the same thing without COVID. And then mandating that those guys in the military had to have the shot. But thankfully for your program, and I think he was Joe, I learned a whole lot. Kept telling my older sister about it, but her family was so concerned, she still got those shots. And I don't know about repercussions from, if there'll be future repercussions for people or not. But luckily, we did not. We didn't take the shot.
Right.
We didn't have a job requirement to make us do that. And we have heart issues, and he was talking about that too. And I thought, my husband said no, and we just didn't.
There's been reports out
I
now
feel grateful
that said 72% of the deaths were responsible of, responsibility of the drug. Now, those reports aren't all mainstream and peer reviewed and all that stuff, but the fact that that's even coming out now from anybody is amazing, because so many people blocked that stuff back then. You couldn't get anything on social media that was negative towards COVID or anything.
They wouldn't let us know the truth.
No.
They wouldn't let us know the truth. A lot of the young men that died, I mean, young men, would be like doing some sport like football, and they died.
Mm-hmm.
It probably is directly connected to the drug.
Well, that's one of these reports that have come out and said all that. But, again, it isn't all proven, and it's going to be hard to, with all the scientists being paid for by the government.
Right. And a lot of their studies probably were not, they probably didn't really study it, or they hid stuff. And you'd have to get a hold of it. So I just wish people would remember, and that's just one aspect of it. And Biden, even as mentally incompetent as he was, he would do those speeches where he blamed MAGA, so.
Oh, Jeffries does that all the time.
Anyway.
It's the worst threat to America is radical MAGA. Yeah, radical make America great again. We can't have too much Make America Great Again, Yeah,
I love when I hear Trump say that, similar to how you said it. It just is so perfect. But
right. Oh,
I better let you go.
Thank you, man. Take care.
But thank you. Excellent show.
Thanks.
I've enjoyed it. I have to go do something now, so
all right.
darn it.
Thank you.
Anyway, have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for calling, actually. Edward did send me that quote that Sandy was looking for, and it says it's attributed to Pastor Martin Niemöller. Now, I'm probably destroying that last name, but first they came for the communist, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unions, and I did not speak out because I was not a trained trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I am not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Yeah. That's been out there for a long time. It's prolific. It still means something. In political news, Edward sent me something from the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz. He stated that the U.S. was being humiliated by Iran. He detailed that the Iranians are attempting to have a civilized conversation with the United States, though the Trump administration has refused to see beyond war and killing of innocent people. And the German chancellor hopes to see Iranians can get the United States to see that peace is the only path to hope. How confused and lost is this German chancellor? They've been at war with us for 47 years. They've been killing innocent people for 7 years. They prop up Hezbollah and the things that went on in Gaza and in Yemen. All of that, the Houthis, they've been funding it. They build machines to attack neighbors. They've been doing this stuff for 47 years. And they give all this peace rhetoric at the same time they hold a gun to your head. And Mertz can't see any of that. They wake up every day and say death to Israel, death to America. And he makes it sound like, that they just want peace and they're misunderstood. No, they're not misunderstood. We understand them very well, I think. I think Mertz needs to look back at the history and see what's going on with these people and where they spend their money. The money isn't for the people, for their people, for their own people. And of course, right now, by taking away some of their war machine and taking away some of that, their own people have been standing up. Their own people, the Iranians, they actually chased people out of the capital, the state capital. They've been taking over some police stations, taking over some smaller towns, and now they're in the state capital doing some of that. That doesn't mean there's an overthrow of the government or anything at this point. But there's definitely demonstrations in the streets where in a country like Iran, they will kill you for demonstrating in the street. They killed 40,000, up to 40,000 within the last few months or the month before the United States got involved, killing anybody that would speak out against the president. That would be like our president going and killing all the liberals that say he's a Nazi. I don't condone it. I don't condone saying he's a Nazi in the first place. But we do have a First Amendment right. We just need to be more outraged about it. We need to have, good people stand up and say enough. It's over. And be a little bit more like our press secretary and say it can't happen anymore. And call these people out directly, like Hakeem Jeffries, directly. And he could say, and in fact, he said that, well, look at the J6, the armed people killing cops or something. I don't know. He said saying something outrageous, which is a mischaracterization of J6, but they've made people believe that J6 was something totally different. Remember, they impeached Trump for J6. You know what Trump said? He said, march peacefully to the Capitol. March peacefully to the Capitol. He was wanting to send a message that I think this is right. He did not want to send a message of death and destruction. There was nobody armed. They said it was an armed insurrection. They can't find any arms. They found a flagpole that had a pointy end on it. Of course, it was never used for anything. And then there were some people that broke windows and stuff, and they should have been prosecuted. But I think they were probably embedded by the FBI. So J6 was a lie. We know it was a lie. But they use that as a rally cry. Jeffries does. Well, look how evil MAG is. Look at J6, how the evil. They were trying to overthrow the government. Really going to overthrow the government with a guy wearing an animal skin and some horns, and then walking peacefully around and praying for the patrol officers who were there. The officers showed him around. That's all on video. And they said he was going to overthrow the government. A pretty poor job of it. How do you overthrow the government like that anyway? I mean, it's just a narrative that the left has pushed because that's all they have. They don't have the luxury of having some real killers out there like the left has. How many trans people have been involved in these mass shootings? Many. But if you go to a lot of these AI and you ask how many people have been involved in the trans, skips it, doesn't find them, doesn't know what you're talking about, because there's a bias out there. They don't want to point it out because we're supposed to be pro-trans. But we're anti-Republican, anti-conservative. anti-Trump derangement. I mean, pro-Trump derangement syndrome, and of course, it'll all point that out. Which is just terrible times, and we need to start talking more about it and start pointing it out on how evil this left is. And yes, Trump talks terribly. He'll call you a low IQ. He'll call you lazy. He'll call you sleepy. He doesn't call you the worst threat to humanity and that you're equivalent to mass murderers. I've never seen that. If you've seen it, show it to me. I don't see it. He may call you disgusting, out of touch, all those things. He'll look you right in the eye and tell you. But he doesn't do what the left does. He doesn't go that far to say and Biden did it on a regular basis. The worst threat to the United States is white supremacy, just out and out racist and liar. And they don't care. They don't care. And not enough people, I say nobody, not enough people call him out. And they should. They should ask him to explain it. And where do you get your facts from? And what are they going to say? Oh, the KKK was white supremacy. Well, KKK was a Democrat Party affiliate from this after the Civil War, trying to keep blacks in line. In line meant not living life, not living life like we do. That was in line. Don't vote, don't run for office, or we'll lynch you. I mean, it was a horrific thing that was shut down finally by the FBI and stuff, but just like they should Antifa right now, which is horrible. That is about violence. But it's going to take more people to speak out because we don't want to become England, where our speech. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be outraged and indignant about it. Call your local pastor and have him go talk to these people. Before you start calling people Hitler and stuff, it shouldn't be acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable. Speaking of not acceptable, I'm going to talk about Bernie Sanders. No, it doesn't have anything to do with the dinner last night. Something maybe more, or the White House correspondence dinner. That wasn't last night. That was Saturday, I think. The Bernie Sanders is looking to put some laws in to slow down the development of artificial intelligence. He's joined by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on that. They have unveiled the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act. They want to slow it all down. And we've heard people talk about it before. I mean, even Elon Musk said it sometimes it needs some regulation and all that. And of course, everyone told him no. And the realization that China and everyone else is going to keep going. This isn't going to be a worldwide thing, and that we need to stay on top of AI, lest we lose our advantages and our ability to stay ahead of it all. So, interestingly, Bernie Sanders is tied into a lot of CCP people. And he's expected, Sanders, he caucuses with the Democrats, of course, but he's an independent. He's expected to be speaking at a panel discussion on Capitol Hill on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. Alongside Chu Lan, professor at CCP-funded Tunguja University. I don't know that. I'm sure I got that wrong too. And chairman of the Ministry of Science and Technology backed a New Generation Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional Committee. That's going to be a big business card to put that all on. But he comes out of China. In attendance will also be Xin Yi, who is the dean of the Beijing Institute of AI Safety and Governance, and is also tied to the New Generation Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional Committee chaired by Lam. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, it's MIT, Max Tegmark will also be speaking at the event. And they'll focus on AI existential risk and international cooperation. Critics from the White House, the data center industry and major tech policies Think tanks have argued that Sanders is proposing policies that would slow down the construction of the very infrastructure needed to keep the United States ahead in the race for AI dominance. Which very important, particularly in our war machine. You see what's happening in Venezuela. You see what's happening in Iran. The accuracy of those weapons, and I know the chancellor from Germany thinks that we're just wanting to kill civilians, but the accuracy of our weapons is taking out specific targets that are military, and they even warn people, like, get out of the engine room before we fired. We don't want to hurt anybody, and the chancellor saying we have a lust for killing people. I think we have a lust for fairness and to free the people of Iran, and they've been under this tyrannical government for 47 years. It's done nothing but it's killed more Americans in that 47 years than most people go to war with. But anyway, it's AI that's helping us. It's AI. The government will tell you that's AI directed. A lot of the technologies that we're using is AI directed, and we have a real advantage. I guess we're ahead of it, which is not a bad thing. Sanders wants to say enough of that. And he's got some Chinese people helping him with it, which is just unsettling. Now, Sanders is facing heat, for holding the event on Capitol Hill with two Chinese Ministry of Science linked officials who support China's preferred AI governance model. The Michael Solbolk, he's an expert, a China policy expert at the Hudson Institute, says, I think Senator Sanders' concerns about AI are overstated, but I respect them. We should be asking questions about child safety, community impact, and economic displacement. What we shouldn't do is partner with foreign adversaries like the Chinese Communist Party in those decisions. Representative Pat Harrington of North Carolina pointed out that the Chinese university is one of China's top universities with direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party. This is the same China that just blocked Meta's $2 billion deal to acquire Manus AI, a startup whose founder had already moved to Singapore and whose deal was already done and closed. Beijing decided it did not matter. They stepped in, killed the deal, restricted the founders from leaving the country while it was under review. China's aggressively locking down the most powerful AI assets and shutting American companies out. Bernie Sanders wants to hand them a seat at the table to help decide how America handles the same technology. Let me see, a podcaster called From Comfortably Smug posted, holy crap. A little more serious than that, but I softened it. Steve Guest, a conservative commentary, says it's a bit on the nose that communist Bernie Sanders looking to the Chinese Communist Party for their leadership on AI, which they do want to slow it down. And Sanders has argued that AI threatens jobs, privacy, democracy, the environment, and maybe the human race. Which means, according to Sanders, we should just put it in China's hands. They'll handle it for us, I guess. So we don't have a problem with safety, privacy, democracy, environment, or human race. We can trust the Chinese. No, we can't. We can't trust them. They want world dominance as much as any other country that's led that way to say world dominance. Obviously, the United States doesn't have that viewpoint. We want America first, at least right now, and hopefully we can keep that type of comment going. Senator Mark Williams, Democrat out of Virginia, say calling the moratorium idiocy at an artificial intelligence summit in D.C. last month, warning it would give China an edge in the AI race. Well, thankfully, we've got a Democrat that jumps up in there, that overlooks Trump derangement syndrome for a moment and does that. Cy McNeil, the senior director of federal affairs at the Data Center Coalition, a pro-industry group, a freeze would risk rationing access to digital service, impair U.S. competitiveness, and hit Americans' daily lives. The Center for Data Innovation and Technology Policy think tank similarly argued that the bill relies on well-worn annexes and does not justify halting data construction. Lan is a chair of the China's National Committee for AI Governance, and Li, who told Time last year that he is highly involved in policymaking throughout national governance committees. In China, both have championed governance models that would expand China's role in writing global AI rules that clash with a freer, more competition-driven U.S. strategy. And they argued that China and the world need mandatory safety and ethics frameworks and more international cooperation, according to the magazine. He also helped develop recommendations on the ethics AI and the first ever global standards of AI ethics. But obviously, it's set over here, Howard, so I can get you, I think, on camera. Absolutely can. Howard Blitz just joined me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Now, you have to bring that microphone a little closer. It's not as sensitive as the other ones.
Okay.
So bring it closer. That's
like
good.
that?
That's good. That's
Now
good.
you can hear me okay?
Good to hear from you. It's 7:30. I thought you were coming at 7.
I know.
Would you oversleep?
I did.
I don't care. You're fine anyway. I'd take you anytime.
I did.
I was talking about artificial intelligence. You got any comments on artificial intelligence?
No.
None whatsoever?
None.
You don't use artificial intelligence?
I don't.
I
don't know how to use it. It's too high tech for me.
I think that's right.
I'm a very low tech.
Look,
a very low tech guy.
I can use it and in fact, I have something on my phone that I can ask it a question. That's about all I go. I mean, that's about all I know. But I've talked to so many, or I've seen so many that talk about AI, that AI actually runs their calendars, runs their scheduling and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Answers letters for them.
They also make tremendous flyers. I have people.
Oh man.
Create that stuff because I don't know how to do it.
Well,
but it's wild. It really is wild.
I'll be talking about something on the air, and my fact checker Edward, he will send me a flyer that's graphicked out and made and all that stuff in like a minute, and that would take me days to get it wrong.
Oh yes, oh yes. No, it's There's a lot of good things about, but like anything else, there's good and bad to everything.
I don't understand. I need to take some classes on it. I need to figure out how it can enhance my life.
I could take a class, but I probably it wouldn't sink in enough. I don't think. But I'm not sure I could comprehend it.
I don't know that I would have the equipment that I need. I mean, I have people that have AI in their house that are running things, turn the lights on, turn the lights off, and all that. No, I mean, just automatically.
But it is the future. It's not even the future. It's here.
It's here. It's here.
But I mean, it's going to be more in the future.
Yeah. In fact, I know Edward has AI as soon as he walks in the house, at facial recognition, they know who he is, and they greet him, like hello, exalted one or something. I don't know. But I don't know what he calls
him. Well,
you
used to see that in the movies, though. People would walk in the house and you turn the lights on, turn the radio on, turn the TV on.
Yeah.
Run the dishwasher.
Yeah.
All you have to do is talk and things happen.
Right. I'm not that advanced.
Well, I guess, I mean, we're moving in that direction to where it's going to be prevalent, I suspect. I mean, it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah. As it becomes more and more user-friendly, we understand it more. I need to understand it. I'm not too old to learn, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I may be. I'm not sure.
Mel Shoney, he never moved up to a smartphone. He still has a flip phone. He's not doing it.
He does?
He's not going to do that.
Well, if you talk to him again, tell him I say hi.
Yeah, I will.
He's back in Kansas or Oklahoma. Where was he?
Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah, where Dorothy is.
Yes. All right.
He's back.
He's following the yellow brick road. Okay.
He's doing that. He's back with family and grandkids. Good for him.
Absolutely. It's the way to be.
He calls in occasionally.
Yeah.
Does he? Yeah, he listens to the show and call in.
Good.
He'll call in.
Good for you.
So you got some you got some events going on at the Freedom Library.
We always have things going on.
You really do.
We really do. We've got a couple of events coming up. One's coming up next week, a week from today.
That's already May.
Retired Captain of the Army, Barry Todd, is going to be with us.
Great guy. And
and I met him last year. And he is a great guy, and he's got quite a story to tell. To say the least.
Man, he wrote a book on it.
He wrote a book on it.
And it's a story that happened in Yuma.
In Yuma, Arizona.
Here's a guy, that got in life and death situations all over the world, I guess, in special forces, Army Ranger, and all that. And, he really fought for his life here in Yuma.
he did. But, we're going to focus on the abuse of the Constitution.
Yeah.
And how it impacted him, because the abuse of the Constitution is, I don't like what I'm seeing, to say the least, because I've known some other people that have been abused.
Sure.
And it's not correct. And, you were talking about the First Amendment earlier on, and we need more speech.
We do.
We need
not less.
We need more people to speak about the wrongs of government.
Yep.
And how it interferes with our lives terribly. And it's interfering more and more. And this is why these guys wrote the Constitution to begin with, to try to restrain another level of government that they were creating.
But how did we get trapped? We get trapped, and the founding fathers saw it coming about trading liberty for security for and liberty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we get trapped in it, and we get trapped in it politically, and we say, well, I know this is against the Constitution, but I hate that guy so much.
Yeah, I know.
We can step out just this once.
Yeah, no,
it never worked that way.
You can't step out once, and that's why it's even more prevalent to have more speech, because I was watching a John Stossel film one time, and they were somebody said to him, well, words can be like bullets. And John responded, well, wait a minute. If words are bullets, then how are you gonna stop bullets? With more bullets? The whole idea was speech is not like bullets. Speech is speech, and bullets are bullets.
Yeah.
And speech is much more important and much more effective and much more peaceful, by the way.
I'm glad you went that way. I was getting nervous for a minute.
Well, no, but that, because unfortunately, I feel like we're disintegrating here a little bit, in society, where, somebody doesn't like somebody. When I use AI,
now he made that right now because you and I talked about it. He sent that flyer. Now, is that amazing? And I'm showing Howard a flyer that just came from Edward. That looks like somebody spent tons of time on it. When I use AI,
it probably took him 5 seconds to put it together, right?
Right. Well, he told the AI to do it.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It just takes boom,
and that's beautiful.
It looks like you're superimposed there.
Yeah. It does. So I need to learn more about it.
I know.
I need to learn more about it. And I don't think it's that difficult to tell somebody what to do. And I think that's what they're doing with AI, is telling it what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know how to approach that. And so because I don't know exactly how it all works. But and Edward has his own AI systems, he's got that.
Well, he's a much smarter man than I.
Maybe. Maybe.
I have no idea.
I think he also has a ton of smart people around him that are helping and directing and helping him learn.
Yeah.
And he's smart enough to get smart people around him. That's a trick.
Yeah, it is a trick.
You gotta get smart people around you.
It's true. But Captain Barry Todd's going to be with us next week. We're going to be the Freedom Library is going to be awarding scholarships next week. That's the whole point of the
is it? Okay.
Of the event next Tuesday night at Trinity United Methodist Church, to award these scholarships. But our special guest is going to be Captain Barry Todd, retired Captain Barry Todd.
I'm going to mention real quick what his book is all about.
Yeah.
But his book, he was at a local watering hole here, restaurant and watering hole here, and doing karaoke and all that. And some guy didn't like him. He went out to his car to get some skull or something, because he's a tobacco user.
Yes, he is.
Nasty old tobacco. And he got accosted out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And he was told, you're not allowed to go back in the building and get your wife and stuff. And he said, well, he's going to. And I guess he went back to his car and legally obtained his firearm.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
And he kept it exposed
Mhm.
and down to his side, didn't point at anybody. And he
No.
says, I'm going back in there and I'm going to get my wife. We're leaving.
Yeah,
And they attacked him.
I know.
And somebody got shot over it. I mean, after they got him on the ground, wrestling,
I think it was the guy that was
attacking him. Yeah, it was that guy who was attacking him.
Yeah.
And then he got charged with attempted murder.
Yeah.
And the whole system was screwed up. In fact, you read his book, it just takes your breath a little bit. Like, this could happen.
Yeah. Well, he was losing due process.
Yes.
And all of this.
Yeah. And he had laws on his side. The laws, especially in the state of Arizona, is you can carry a gun openly and tell people you have it.
Mhm.
And not every state's that way, but this state is, and that's specifically written that way.
Mhm.
His lawyer didn't even understand that. And he had to explain to his lawyer more than once. His lawyer finally apologized to him. I didn't quite get it, whatever. I didn't quite get the law. Barry was well versed in the law.
Yeah.
He knew it. And he did everything exactly right and spent so much time fighting the courts, so much money fighting the courts, so much drawing back in his, he has a business where they took away his certification to do his business
Yeah.
because he had an accusation of something.
Yeah.
Not a conviction, but an accusation was enough to say you can't work in this business, which is a financial business.
Yeah.
And they took it away from him, and he had to operate without doing certain items. He had to delegate a lot more, that he couldn't involve himself because he didn't have a license to do it all of a sudden. He was suspended or something. He was exonerated. I don't know how many years it took, but it would have broken most people.
Yeah.
And you know what he wants to do now is he's selling the books explaining the whole ordeal, which I highly recommend.
Yep. And we've got copies of it.
You got copies of it, but he wants to take any profits from that book, anything from that book, and put it back into funds to help people in similar sorts of situations that may not be able to afford it.
Yeah.
That's where his heart is, and that's where he wants.
And
to
it's
go.
a shame people have to get involved, having to defend themselves for something like that. This is the government you're talking about. This is the government that's supposed to preserve and protect your rights, not invade it.
Now I'm disliking my fact checker. He did another one that says, I refuse to use AI. I'm too busy living life in the real world. And he shows me sitting down with about 40 pounds more than I actually have.
Well, like I said at the beginning, there's good and bad.
Man.
Both. There's good and bad to everything. So
Okay. I'm going to block him now.
we're going to block it out. More speech, Russ. More speech.
It is more speech. And that conversation I had earlier
Yeah.
About more speech is of course, the frustration with a lot of people of all the anger and the violent rhetoric and the crap, and a suggestion that we should do something. Well, then we'd be England. And England right now, you can go to jail for thought.
Wow.
If you put something on Facebook or something that is against the government, or you say, I don't like the government for this, or petition the government, they'll knock on your door and arrest you. And they've had thousands of people picked up doing that. So we can never go there.
That's very dangerous.
We can't go there.
We can't go there.
The answer is more speech. You point these people out. You point out the what this is doing to our fabric of our communities. When you start calling people Hitler, Nazi, and all that kind of stuff, and you start painting a picture that this person is so evil he should be removed from the planet, you're going to get crazy people come up. And that's what happened, with this another attempted assassination.
Yeah,
a school teacher.
I know. That's amazing.
A teacher of the year.
Yeah.
I can't trust teacher of the year anymore.
Hey, we're having teacher of the year Thursday night.
I know you are.
And those are all fine people. I got to tell you, I was in on the committee of that, and every single one of them are our teachers of the year. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
They're terrific.
It's wonderful what you're doing and putting this stuff out there.
Well, we're just trying to enlighten people about the Constitution. And since this is the country's 250th birthday, we're having a big celebration July 4th.
Good.
Down at the Historic Yuma Theater. We're going to have Celine Dion.
No, you're not.
On video.
Oh, on video. Okay.
we're gonna have a lot of famous, well-known actors on video.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna have Ray Charles on video.
Really?
We're gonna have a lot of things. Plus, we're gonna have a lot of history. People can come on down and learn about why and how the Declaration of Independence was written, and all the history behind it.
I don't know all of it, but it's an interest in what I do know. I mean, it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing thing where, most countries form, their constitutions to support them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Really.
support them and not the people.
Well, and the guys, well, the people in general didn't want to separate. They weren't really interested
Well, from England. Yeah.
from England
Yeah.
at the time. They just
Right.
wanted their government to leave them alone. Kind of like what's going on today. We just want our government to leave us alone.
Correct.
But that's not the nature of government.
We want, less regulation and more opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, and that's what this country has always been about. It's been the history of this country, and I don't know. We seem to
we got this
be isolating ourselves.
we got this equity thing going. Like everybody needs to have the same results.
Yeah,
And that never
No.
works. That socialistic
Yeah.
mentality of equity.
Well, it's impossible for it to work.
Of course it is.
We're trying to do something that's impossible,
But
and you don't really want to do that because the whole idea. We were just talking about more speech. Well, everybody's got different perspectives and different ideas on things. They need to be allowed to speak up and share those perspectives because you never know where somebody else is going to pick up another idea from those ideas and
right.
move forward. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to think that we want to force people to be all the same.
Well, in some countries do that.
Well, I hope we don't.
They don't.
I hope.
My son explained poverty to me one day. He's an Air Force Academy grad, so he's smarter than me.
Yeah,
So he says, but
he probably is.
He probably is. He teaches me a lot. But he said that the way they figure out poverty in the United States is they take a bell curve. And everyone knows what a bell curve. You take people at the one end,
Yeah.
which is real low. They have no money. And then it builds up to the middle class, which is right at the very height. And then it goes down to where the rich people are. And someone just takes a line and they go, okay, poverty's going to be right there. Everything below there is poverty. And he says it's so arbitrary that you can't get rid of it because we'll always be on a bell curve. So
Yeah.
there's always going to be somebody at the left end. Always. It's always going to be poverty. So if you say, I want to eliminate poverty, well, you're working at a goal that is impossible to do unless we change our program. Now, if we go like China, where you look at what everyone makes, it's a straight line.
Well, you don't think they don't
Until
have
you go to
poverty
the
in China?
No, it's a straight line, and all of a sudden you get to where the oligarchs live, and then it's a hockey stick, straight right up. That's billionaires at that end,
Yeah.
and everybody else is making $8,000 a year.
In other words, everybody's poor except for the
Yes.
top 1%.
Yeah, and then we call poor middle class, and that's it, and we live with it.
Nah, that doesn't
That's
work.
not the system we want,
No.
and that's
that wasn't the system that the founders wanted to create, and
No.
and they did something. I mean, they weren't perfect by any stretch.
no.
They had their faults, believe me.
But we've
but
had
they did the best they could.
But look, we have
At the time.
an infiltration of that thought process, like in New York City with Mandani.
Yeah,
He's coming up with something new every day to punish people that have too much
I know.
and to give away to people that you don't have enough. So let me give it to you.
I wonder what his net worth is.
It is big. He grew up
And
healthy.
you wonder about that. If he advocates that, then how come he doesn't give half of his assets away and spread it out?
Never works that way. Never does. Never works that way. But he's dynamic. He's
Yeah.
charismatic and all that stuff. And the place is burning down around him, and he just does. He looks like everything's fine. He's not buckling.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe everything he's doing is going to work beautifully. It's going to become the most powerful city in the whole world. But I don't think so, especially when all the people that make things happen leave.
Yeah. And a lot of people are leaving the United States, not just New York.
Oh, really?
Well, businesses do send their
I remember Burger King moved to Canada about a decade ago,
because it's a lot less expensive.
which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
Because nothing changed. I mean, I went to Burger King next day; they still had the hamburgers, everything.
Yeah.
They just paid like half the taxes, and they had a Canadian address,
Yeah.
but nothing else changed.
Right.
And same thing's going on in this country
Yeah.
in such a large scale.
Mhm.
People leaving California, leaving New York, leaving Illinois, going to primarily Texas and Florida. We're getting some of it.
Arizona too.
Yeah, we're getting some of it. Texas and Florida, but getting the bigger numbers. But
Mhm.
we're we're actually profiting from all that exodus. We just need to make sure we stay as free and out of the nonsense as possible.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And that was one of the things too. The states could do whatever they wanted to do. They ended up with most of the power.
Yeah.
They didn't delegate all their powers to the national government. But that was the whole idea, is to put each state on a competitive basis with one another.
yeah.
So
The this graphic that he did with the AI has your mug in it. Look at the bottom. It happens that fast.
how does he do that?
He's got
That's impossible.
he's got technology.
Holy cow.
He's got technology. So
Well, I'm an ugly guy.
uh,
Yeah. That doesn't look good from my perspective.
well, that's what
Maybe
that's
from
what
somebody else's perspective.
that's what you get when you come in. You're on camera, man.
Yeah. Okay.
You're on camera. We don't judge.
He's even got the earphones on.
The whole bit.
The whole nine.
He just told AI to do it. I'm afraid of what he could do. Actually,
That's scary.
It is. I can't. I don't have the technology to flip it to my screen, or I'd put it on. I should be able to.
Oh my!
I'm sure it's just a matter of understanding.
I don't know
how that works.
That would be terrifying in my world.
But to be that rapid and that easy.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you had to do a flyer like this and you just could do it that quickly and that graphic that fast?
Hey.
You would be sending out flyers every day.
Yeah. Well, no, I have some people that can do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I'm trying to get a flyer for that July 4th event that we're coming up with.
Right.
And, that's one thing. But now that I have flyers like that,
I'll send this to you. You can share it.
Thanks. No, don't send it to me. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I feel embarrassed.
No, don't. The 250th Independence Day is going to be Saturday, July 4th, 10 a.m. to noon, Historic Theater.
Yeah, downtown.
That's going to be downtown.
And that's where it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We're trying. I got to figure this out. If I can do it, if the Freedom Library can do it, it's not me. It's the Freedom Library that's going to do it.
Right.
Give away $250. I don't know if a 501c3 nonprofit can do that. Can they just give away money?
You give out scholarships.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but this would be cash money.
Cash money?
Yeah.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, I know. So I'm asking the appropriate people. So
I'm
hoping and the answer comes back yes.
I would say
so that we give everybody
ask for forgiveness later. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pay the fine.
So that everybody that shows up that day has an opportunity
to win
$250
so in ones.
No. We'll give them 2 Franklins and
oh, there you go.
Yeah. Who's on the $50 bill? Grant?
I thought that was Franklin, wasn't it?
No, Franklin's on the 100.
Are you sure?
Who's on the 50? Grant?
I don't know. Pull out your wallet. We'll take a look.
I don't have a 50. I'm not that rich. You have a 50.
Grant.
It is Grant. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 2 Franklins and a Grant.
You're right. It's Franklin.
There you go. See, you're richer now. You carry around all the.
Oh man, I've had that money.
All I can afford are $1 bills.
I've had that in there for years. I just never spend it.
Okay.
It just sits in there. So I know if I'm ever stranded, I can get out of trouble.
There you go.
Wow.
You may need more than that.
I've got phone numbers.
Okay, good.
That's
good.
I'll be calling and say, help me.
Help me.
I need the help. Now, I know Captain Barrett Todd's going to be talking, right? You can let him talk?
Yeah, of course. That's why
he
he was invited to talk.
he took classes, for public speaking and stuff.
I bet you participated in Toastmasters. No.
He hired professional producers and TV shows and stuff like that, and I sat through a couple of them with him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and stuff. Yeah, he really takes he takes things seriously.
Oh yeah, no, he's terrific.
He's a professional.
Yeah, he is. He is,
and
no
just does a.
I'm looking forward to his talk next week. I really am.
Yeah, he does.
Because he's got a great title of his talk. If you'll notice,
Stand Your Ground.
Yeah.
That's the name of the
Stand
book.
Your Ground, Honor, Freedom,
Yeah.
and the Future of the American Republic.
And he's a guy that totally patriotic,
Oh, yeah.
totally full of honor, you know,
Yeah.
military, 20 years and,
Yeah.
you know, his way up through the Rangers and all that stuff. So
Well,
he's the real deal.
Yeah, but I'm interested to hear what he has to say about the abuse of the Constitution that was applied to him. I mean,
Mhm.
how he endeavored to go through all that, how he survived it all. Because I know some other people that have been abused,
Right.
and they're in the process of going through it right now, and it's a struggle.
And they tried to destroy him financially and break his spirit. It wasn't that they could get a conviction. You know,
But I'm trying to figure out why. You know, what's
I
the
don't
reason
know.
why?
Well, if you,
I wonder if you'll touch on that a little bit.
if you read the book, and at one point in where, you know, he's into this thing for a while now, and it comes up that, you know, he in the courts or something, I guess, or I don't know if it was a private or in the courts, one way or the other, and I think it was both maybe. He said that, you know, I followed the letter of the law. They said, I don't care. You had a gun.
Yeah.
You know, that was a prosecutor or the officer, one or the other. It says, I don't care. You had a gun.
Yeah.
You know, even if you were carrying it properly, you were legal. I don't care. You had a gun. I mean,
That
it just
doesn't
seems
sound right coming from a legal person. You know,
it's surreal, right? You wouldn't think would ever happen, and hence that's what the book's all about.
Yeah.
Because you think it won't happen.
Yeah. You never know.
You don't.
You don't.
And it happened right here in Yuma. And
I know.
And it was a judge. The judge finally took control of it and stopped the nonsense. You know?
Well, good.
Like,
yeah.
Because he could read the law.
I mean, I went through that book. I think it only took me it was less than a week.
Oh.
It didn't take me very long. I mean, I was so entranced in it. I mean, every page I turned.
And you're wondering, like, how can this happen?
Yeah. Well, just like this couple that I know, how did this happen? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Right.
You know, you don't know. I don't know.
I hear stories all the time like it, that this kind of stuff. I mean, Dean Weingarten comes in on Wednesday. He followed a case up, I think it was Wisconsin, where they had a school zone where you couldn't have a gun within a school zone. Well, this guy had a house that was in that area, and he was on his front porch, and he had a shotgun, and he was arrested for having a gun in a school zone.
Oh boy!
At his own home.
I know.
And it took the same as Barry, pain, money, time.
And I don't think he got.
I don't think
Barry got reimbursed.
No, he just got everything thrown out.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to pick up his own life because nobody says, sorry, let me pay for your losses.
Yeah.
They don't do that.
No.
He came out stronger.
He did.
And he did not lose his customer base, and he picked up right where he was. I mean,
and he didn't lose his civility and his
yes, he did
humanness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He had to think though at times. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I got everything wrong? Like, how can everybody be seeing this when they can't see reality?
Yeah.
Or am I not seeing reality? You know.
I know. But I'm sure he was questioning himself. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's.
Yeah, you'd have to.
It's just, I don't know, it's too much.
Yeah.
But this was, this is what the guys were trying to do 250 years ago, trying to prevent stuff like this.
Correct.
Well, obviously, giving government what it is and the nature of it, that's why it takes vigilance on all of our parts to watch our government, to be watchful of it, and to say, you can't do that.
Right.
But you've got to understand what it can and cannot do. And that's the whole point. A lot of people don't understand the function and the purpose for which government exists and how government is supposed to go about doing that. And if you don't have the knowledge of that, then you're never going to know whether the government's out of line or not.
Right.
I mean, I use the analogy of a football game. If all the players on the football field have no idea what the rules are, what can the referee do? You know, I
And
use that enough. And if you don't have the knowledge, then yeah, the referee could say, well, we'll give you 20 downs to make a first down. Okay.
and if you don't know, you can't question it.
You know, you can't.
You know-
And the reason he can't is because everybody in the planet understands that can't happen.
You know, we have people running for Congress or in Congress
Have
that
no idea.
they don't know.
No, they don't.
I watched an interview just last night before.
Tell them to take our class at the
I will tell her, except she's not from the state. But
That's okay.
But she was her campaign promise is to eliminate ICE. So
okay.
the journalist asked, you know, if you eliminate ICE, how are we going to take care of the immigration problem? And she was totally stunned. I'll have to think. She literally said, I have to think about it. And then she says, Congress should do it. Which,
well, the question is, well, now you get into a subject matter. Does Congress even have the authority
no,
to rule over immigration?
no, they're the legislators. You know,
So-
they don't enact the laws; they make them. You know, and but she didn't know,
Yeah.
and she's running for Congress to eliminate ICE and then have Congress take over the function of enforcing.
Well, is ICE even authorized by the Constitution? So
It's probably
where are a lot of these agencies authorized?
no.
And if you can't find them in the Constitution, then they should be eliminated.
Well,
They should be eliminated.
I think the Constitution gives us the right to enact policies and laws, and it does. It does.
Only
give us-
laws that are pursuant to the Constitution.
Correct.
So
And-
you can't
but
just enact any law you
The
want.
federal government is designed to take care of our borders and stuff, and that's what ICE does, is takes care of that.
Well, I don't know. Is it designed to do that?
I think so.
I'm not so sure. I don't know. I don't see where that's in the Constitution. I
About
really-
raising armies and stuff,
I see about raising
Mhm.
armies.
which
Okay.
is for federal protection.
Yeah, in case we're attacked.
Right.
But we haven't been attacked. So I'm trying to figure out
That's,
where all this comes from.
that's open. But, well, the Constitution did leave open the ability to change, add, which we get through amendments. Like it didn't have
Yeah.
anything about income tax, but they wrote it in an amendment.
Yeah.
And that makes it part of the Constitution at that point.
We need
Even
to
if
write
it wasn't
we need to
original.
write it out.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. But you can't say it's unconstitutional because the founding fathers didn't write about it. They
Yeah.
didn't write about it, but they left us the opportunity to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And it definitely
Well,
was
they
not.
didn't impose an income tax because they knew the negativity of it. And
They counted more on tariffs. Now tariffs are a bad word.
well, tariffs are fine, but the problem is what we've given the authority, what we've allowed our federal government the authority to do. And since it does way more than what the Constitution allows it to do,
Mhm.
yeah, we got to jack up taxes like you can't believe. We wouldn't need all the taxes if the federal government was just doing what it's allowed to do under the Constitution.
I completely agree with that. And I think there's been so many add-ons right now. And there's
Yeah.
politicians that are offering to give you more. If you vote for me, I'll give you free health care
Yeah.
and I'll give you free child care and we'll take care of everything you'll need. And you'll get, if you don't have enough money, we'll pay for your food and we'll pay for your housing. Do you know,
And people buy into that.
they do because you're caring at that point.
Well, because they don't understand where the money's coming from
well, it's coming at the gunpoint that you've pointed out many times.
all the
You're
time.
going to hold it to the head of somebody that's got money and say, give it to me so I can give it to your neighbor.
Anytime government has to pay for anything, it's going to come at the butt of a gun.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's a force.
It works that way. I mean,
But-
they don't initially use that, but
No.
they eventually use it if you say no to them.
But we've got politicians on steroids trying to get things passed now.
Yeah.
This wealth tax, which
Mhm.
is absolutely crazy. I mean, California is going to have it on a referendum. It'll probably pass because it's pure democracy when you ask everybody in the country or in the state,
Mhm.
everybody in the state of California, please vote for something that's only going to affect 2% of the population because they're going to have to pay you millions of dollars. Will you do it? Well, 98% will. 98% are going to say, heck yeah, man, it doesn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
Get Elon Musk money. Take that money and pass it out around. They don't deserve that much. Take it from them. And that's what the law, I mean, it's a referendum that's coming up in California right now. It's the wealth tax. And they say it's going to be retroactive to the 1st of January 26, even though they're not going to vote on it until November, which I didn't know that was constitutional. And that way the rich people can't leave knowing it's coming. Because many people have left California that were billionaires knowing that this was coming, but they left in November, December.
Why can't they leave?
Well, if they leave, they still have to pay the tax because it's retroactive.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you can say, okay, I'm moving to Texas. They say too late. You had to get out 8 months ago. So you have to pay anyway. I don't even know how that's going to be enforceable.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's up to the lawyers and all that stuff. But it's crazy.
It's nuts.
And Mandani's doing the same thing in New York City. He's wanting to do wealth tax.
Yeah.
We're going to tax everybody that's got the money. We've got to go where the money is. And if you're making money, we're going to tax you extra. And if you're white, he's had bills. It's going to tax. You pay more if you're white. They pay for that white privilege.
Oh, that causes
it's
all kinds of angst.
Well, it's so many problems, and I don't think any of that's going to pass. Muster from the Supreme Court and all that. Well, but you've got to go through the dance.
Yeah,
you got to go through the dance, but yet
this isn't what we.
And we talked about what we need is more speech. How come more people in New York aren't saying, "Hold on a minute, you're destroying us"?
Yeah,
people with substance, people with assets are leaving because they don't have to do this. And they're leaving the state. They're leaving the city.
Maybe they are speaking up, but we don't hear them.
That's
because the media doesn't pick up on it.
That's true too.
I don't know that for a fact, but I wonder if that's not possible.
I think the right. One way they're speaking is U-Haul. You can go to U-Haul and say, okay, I live in LA. And I want to rent a U-Haul to go to Texas, and it's going to be like $3,000. And they say, okay, I live in Texas. I want a U-Haul to go to LA. We'll pay you. Seriously, it's so amazing. I've done that. I've sat down and typed in a U-Haul and stuff, and on these cities and states where they're evacuating. Yeah. To rent a U-Haul is an extra fees because they know that once that U-Haul gets to Texas, they have to pay somebody to bring it back for the next trip.
Oh, that's
it's set up for a system that's going back and forth, and everybody's renting them back and forth.
Right.
But in cases like right now, where we're living in such an exodus from some of these states,
nobody's making the return trip.
no, who's moving? Who in their right mind is going to move into that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Yeah, you wonder what the founders would be thinking right now if Ben Franklin was here, or Patrick Henry, or any average person, not a famous person, what they would be thinking.
I think first thing they'd be thinking is trying to understand. Tell me more. Show me. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they would analyze it.
Yeah.
Because they were analytical.
Yeah.
They'd have an opinion after that. It's all over.
And I think a lot of the average everyday people just trying to eke out a living would have that same thought process.
They probably look at us and say, well, how when you do all these policies are you so successful? How can you have airplanes and cars? And you got things I never imagined. You got this AI thing that can do a poster in 1 minute. How do you get all that when you're oppressing people so badly?
Exactly.
It's going to be confusing to them.
It would be confusing. Because they would think that, geez, you got all this technology. You guys should be light years.
Right. Right.
Ahead of where we were. But we're not. I guess it has a lot to do with human nature. Human nature doesn't change.
No, it doesn't. And there's a lot of evil out there.
And there was evil 250 years ago.
There was.
And there's probably going to be evil 250 years from now.
Correct.
So in that regard, nothing changes.
Well, the thing that changes is as the time is the history, we start listening to the evil and think that they're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we pay a price.
Well, and it reminds me of, I guess, Professor Tytler. He was a English history professor, I believe he was. I believe he was a history professor. Anyway, he's got this cycle where you go through all these areas, and then you start in slavery, and you grow up, and
I think it's 7 steps or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
But then you
and then you
wind
get-
up back in slavery.
because you get complacent.
Yeah, you get complacent, apathy, and then you wind up back in slavery again, and then you get a rebirth of knowledge, and it goes through the cycle again. So maybe that's it. But I think we move up on that cycle ladder. If you think about the economic growth ladder from 5,000 years ago, heck, we are light years ahead of the people that lived
course.
on this planet 5,000 years ago. And I suspect 5,000 years from now, they're going to be light years ahead of us. Look where we're at with this AI. Except they're going to have better pictures.
Edward did send me something on your question about 501c3s. Can you give money away? He says organizations in Arizona cannot simply give donated cash to winners as a prize or giveaway unless the payment clearly advances the nonprofit's charitable mission. The key issue is that charitable funds must be used for public benefit, not private enhancement. If money is handed out randomly or as general reward, it can create IRS and state compliance concerns. Cash awards may be permissible when they are tied to the organization's exempt purpose, such as scholarships for students selected through objectives, criteria, emergency or hardship assistance based on documented need, program-related grants, fellowships, or awards that directly support education, arts, science, or community services. For Arizona organizations, there may also be state rules involving raffles, gaming, promotions, and charitable solicitations, depending on how the contest is structured. A safe rule of thumb, if the payment looks like a charitable program benefit, it may be workable. If it looks like a cash giveaway, it's risky. Does that help?
Yeah, so maybe we should give away a scholarship.
Yeah, that would be the thing to do.
Ooh,
because that's what you're used to anyway.
well, that's what we do.
I know. That's the whole reason for your existence.
Yeah. Okay.
Is to educate. Yeah, so you can do that.
So maybe we can give away a scholarship. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what we'll do.
Yeah,
We'll give away a scholarship.
right.
Excellent. That'd be $1,000 value. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And he also sent me the cycle of democracy. Number one is the crisis or concentrated power. Public frustration grows over corruption,
Right.
inequality, inefficiency, or unresponsible elites. Number two is reform and mobilize. Citizens demand accountability, transparency, and representation. Election movements and institutional reforms gain momentum. Number three,
That's not the one I was thinking of.
renewal, and me either. Number three is
it's
renewal.
I mean, it's similar.
Renewal and trust. New leadership enters institutions, strengthens civic partners, participation rises, and optimism returns. Number four, comfort and complacency. As stability increases,
Yeah.
vigilance declines, turnout falls, institutions are taken for granted, and political engagement weakens. Number five, capture and polarization.
Oh.
Special interests, fractionalism, disinformation, or executive overreach grow, trust erodes again. Number six, back to crisis or course correction. The public either re-engages and reforms the system, or institutions decay further.
Yeah. That's similar. This is
Similar.
Tyler's cycles. It says from bondage to spiritual faith, from spiritual faith to great courage, from courage to liberty, from liberty to abundance, from abundance to selfishness, from selfishness to complacency, from complacency to apathy, from apathy to dependency, and from dependency back into bondage.
I think
So
the cycles are very similar.
Similar deal.
This describes it more in the form of a democracy
Yeah,
and how it works,
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
a form that more generic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it,
But that
I like
that
them
was
both. And that's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
The ones from bondage and all that kind of stuff. So it looks like it'll be a scholarship.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be. Well, probably it's going to be two scholarships because we offer two different types of scholarships. One's a monetary scholarship, where we send the money on the individual's behalf to the educational institution of their choice. And the other one's actually a travel scholarship where you travel and attend a week-long seminar conference to learn more about these ideas on liberty.
I want to take the week-long seminar to DC.
So, no,
Do you have any
that's
there?
a corrupted town.
What do you mean corrupted? That's the heart of our democracy, man. That's where it is.
We don't have a democracy. Remember that?
Well, you're exactly right.
That's the place.
Our
that
republic.
actually, we really need to have more people go there to
Clean
to
up.
get the thinking straight.
Well, I was thinking more of a sightseeing, going to see Mount Vernon
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And actually, my fact checker has been sending you the AIs that you don't like. Is he's on the board of Mount Vernon.
Is he really?
The historical board.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. In fact, he has access to parts of it that the rest of us don't see. But
who's the gentleman that we had him out here? I can't even remember his name now. Isn't that terrible? He portrays George Washington, and he is the guy who does George Washington there at
Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Maybe he knows the guy's name. I can't remember his name.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he does. I mean, he seems to be. He's connected there.
He's connected.
Yeah. He knows his way around the property.
Oh, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. If he's on the board, he should know his way around the property.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. 2 scholarships.
2 scholarships.
2 different scholarships. One. Ooh, thank you.
No, that takes away the worry.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, I knew there was a reason I was coming on the show today.
Otherwise, you'd end up like Captain Barry Todd, maybe.
I know. And I don't want to do that.
They come handcuff you.
I know. They probably would. Gosh.
Take this evil man out.
But anyway, next Tuesday night, 7:00. I think it is. Yeah, 7:00.
The Trinity United Methodist Church. Your wife goes there.
Yeah, so is yours.
Yeah, no, she plays bells there.
Oh, she plays bells there. I thought you went there too.
No, the 2 of us actually go to Church for the City, which is also a promoter.
Okay.
But she goes there to play bells. And I go there with her.
Well,
when she plays bells.
Yeah, Tyrone said that he might be able to find me a videographer so he can videotape this.
Man, he's got a lot of people there that do that.
Yeah.
That church has so many people on volunteers, for the music, the communications, and there's always somebody different with video. All these young people like crazy just get involved. But
I was told that he did, and I contacted him, and he said, "Yeah, I do."
Yeah,
okay,
he does. He's had some great.
Let me know.
Some of his people in the band that play the church music, they've recently got back from Nashville cutting records.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's got some great talent in there that does that. In fact, and I've seen the church grow so much. I mean, it's I've only been there.
I should ask him about that. Maybe we can have some live musicians.
Yeah, maybe.
I've been there. Videotape.
I've been there a couple of years, and they've had to change from two sermons on Sunday to 3 because it only says 800 people, and they're exceeding that. And now they're getting ready to build another church that seats much more than 800.
Oh wow,
that's an amazing problem, right?
Yeah, really.
And intriguing for me, I just like that there's so many young people involved.
Mm-hmm.
That's
good.
You get so many there that are volunteering to do things. A lot of young people are greeters. When you have, I mean, he probably has 20 greeters on a Sunday.
Wow. Well, that's cool.
And there's churches that don't have 20 in attendance.
I know. I know.
So he's hitting something right.
Well, that's good.
To be able to
that's good.
Get that done.
That's good.
When I see he's a promoter for you for all your Freedom Library
he has
stuff.
been very, very supportive of us, and we truly appreciate that. And come on down next Tuesday night at Trinity United, 7:00.
You don't need to have a reservation.
No reservations. Just show up. If you want to bring some non-perishable food items, do that. We're going to donate food to the Crossroads and Yuma Community Food Bank.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to award some scholarships and listen to Captain Barry Todd.
And that's 3030 South 8th Avenue.
That's it.
All right, buddy.
All right, boss.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I
got to go.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
Mortgage One Studio, Russ Clark back with you. Since I'm back, I'm going to do the disclaimer one more time. All content presented on the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflects the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for information and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studios does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. Good to have Howard Blitz in. He does a great job. So, Freedom Library is well known in the community and for good reason. I don't know how many long, I should have asked him. I don't know how long it's been. It's been 20, 30 years or something. He's been doing this a long time. He's given away a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years in scholarships. You know, he's always done it for education purposes. Marantha Baptist Church Vacation Bible School, just a reminder, June 29th to July 3rd. That's at 306 South 23rd Avenue. That's Avenue B and 3rd Street, right near there. So a little community church, but 29th to July 3rd. You got to be 4 to 12, though. 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. If you have any questions, call 928-329-9973. Let me take a phone call. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, man?
You know, the reason why we will prevail is because of American exceptionalism.
Yeah, I agree.
And that is what the left does not understand, and that is what the left needs to defeat. Now, everybody on our side needs to read that book, Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
I still have not, but yeah.
That is a book that tells you exactly what their game plan is.
Yeah.
That is the blueprint to Marxism. And right there it is. We have to read and read some more and read some more and read some more, because it's intelligence that will carry us over. See, the thing, Mark Levin has a book about the news media. I forget what the damn title is,
Hmm.
but it said that one of the things that the colonists have over us is that Hollywood makes it sound like the colonists are a bunch of dumb people. The colonists were well-read people. And one of the things that they did read was the Bible, but they all had newspapers. There was newspaper competition, and you couldn't really tell the difference between the newspapers back then and the newspapers today. They said the same damn thing. They called Thomas Jefferson called John Adams a transsexual or a hermaphrodite or something like
Oh my
that.
gosh, I didn't know that.
Yes, so all this stuff, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun,
Hmm.
but we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to engage, and we have a responsibility to increase our knowledge. The thing that Saul Alinsky uses in order to censor society are those two statements. We don't talk about religion, and we don't talk about politics at the table, and we should be doing that.
Exactly right. And I grew up in that
And
household that didn't allow any of that.
when you watch Gutfeld,
Yeah, I do.
and he sits there on the 5,
Yeah.
he speaks up.
Eh,
He speaks up against the idiocy
yes.
of that woman who was a Democrat. But the thing of it is that that's the thing that's going to make us win. If we are knowledgeable, and we have to stand our ground at the dinner table, at the social tables.
But make it reasonable. Talk to people you don't disagree with. You don't have to scream at them and insult them constantly. Listen to them and then point out the fallacies. That's a lost art.
And the thing about it is, a person with intellectual confidence can do that.
Correct.
People who don't know, you know what? Sometimes you just have to overlook that and let it settle. The Democrats don't know how to argue.
No.
The Democrats only pick the low fruit that they're told to do. That's what they called Rush Limbaugh ditto heads. They thought
right,
that Rush Limbaugh. What's that?
I forgot about that term. You're right. I forgot about it. That's great.
They thought Rush Limbaugh trained us, but really we listened to Rush Limbaugh because he was our voice.
Correct.
And the good thing about Rush Limbaugh was you could learn things. He taught over using that media. You look at the lesson he taught the world about Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, he did.
So we are bound by the First Amendment, and you cannot change the First Amendment to defeat the Democrats. That's the problem. The only way you can defeat the Democrats is by reading and studying yourself up. You don't need to go to school to learn history.
No.
I always say this: how many books does it take for an average person to read in order for them to have an Ivy League education? If I read as many books as an Ivy League education guy, what's the difference? He's got the sheepskin because he read those books.
Yeah.
So we have to read, we have to read, and keep ourselves abreast. The thing about it is, if somebody knows something, somebody is knowledgeable, you can't get that person to shut up. He wants to tell you what he's thinking. He wants to tell you what he knows. But those two statements, we don't talk about religion. We don't talk about politics. They are two things that our weakest people hide behind. Well, I don't have to get involved in that conversation because I hide behind that.
Yeah.
No, it should shame you to increase your knowledge. So I think that I think it's happening. We have going for us American exceptionalism, and that's in our bones.
The left hate that
Our,
word, though. They hate it, and they hate America first. They're not
and
about
that's
that.
what
They're
they
not
did.
about either one.
The dumbing down of America was the attack on the American exceptionalism. Attacking toxic masculinity was getting rid of American exceptionalism. We need to be proud to, and that's one of the things that Charlie Kirk preached.
Yep.
To be proud to be an American, to understand what it was to be an American. You know, everybody's coming to America. Nobody's going any other place. Why? Because they want to be American. America is the only place where you are a German American, a French American. You can't a Chinese American. You can't go to these other countries and say you're French or you're Chinese because they have a bias against you. But this is the only place where you can melt. But you have to. And now this rolls into citizenship. You have to be on our side. You can't come to this country and still be separate from us.
We have to be assimilated, and that was the whole program. It used to be the program to assimilate. You know, it doesn't mean just remove your culture. It just means assimilate into ours and bring the richness of your culture. I don't care. And you mentioned Rush Limbaugh. You know, he didn't have a college degree either. Same as Charlie Kirk. Rush,
a lot of people,
and he was a teacher. He was a trainer, just like Charlie Kirk. They both treat teachers.
Abraham Lincoln didn't have a college degree.
No.
The great guy from Wisconsin who broke the unions was the governor of Wisconsin. What was his name?
I don't know.
Scott Walker didn't have a degree.
Oh, Scott didn't have a degrry?
No, he did not. He did not have a 4-year degree.
You know, after he was done with being a governor, he was working for the president at Trump on educational programs.
You asked Dean. Dean will confirm that. That that was one of the big things that they tried to attack him on, but they couldn't because he was just see that what you can say to a young kid is it doesn't matter if you can express what's in your mind through your mouth. You're a success.
Yeah.
Everything else comes easy.
A great point.
And,
absolutely. Huh? That's a great point. I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I think Charlie had a great understanding of that it's not necessary to get a college degree for many things. I mean, there's some like a doctor or engineer or something. There's so much to learn. You need
really,
it.
All that a college degree unless you're a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon, it says that you have the discipline.
Yeah.
And you can control your time to reach a goal.
Agreed.
But the problem is that if you choose to be have a 4-year degree in basket weaving, I'm not going to trust you to build a bridge.
Right. Or even pay off your college loans.
Yeah. So I think that we all must remember our kids are better than their kids. Our kids are better than their kids. And our kids just know what to do. Our kids see what other people can't see. You understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah. Well, they're going to have a different outlook on life, different opportunities, and things that a lot of countries don't understand when it comes to opportunity. And there's many in this country trying to change that to where there is no opportunity. There's just everybody gets what they need from the government. And then we'd become like many countries that just don't promote success.
We are never going to become like many countries because we have American exceptionalism. Because the grease to American exceptionalism is, let me see if I get this right. I'm sorry, sometimes my head's not connected to my spine some days. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yes.
Necessity is the mother of invention. if you there's the old saying that if you took a special forces soldier, dropped them in the middle of the desert naked, he would come back with an army of 1,000 people fully clothed. If you dropped our children on the right in the same fashion, they're gonna come back with something productive. It's the it's the left children raised by left children are all part of the success of the participation trophy.
Yep.
And when you look at it, when you come back and you look when we were talking about yesterday about the protest, you can see the participation trophy people and you can see our people. Because the participation trophy people, they can only raise their voice and throw stones and spit. In the face of all of that lethal weaponry, we still have restraint. That's who we are. Now, the problem is this, Russ. Sometimes if you say, I'm going to kick your butt, I may stop you from wanting to come and kick my butt. I mean, it is, it's part of what is called in law enforcement, the use of force continuum. And the very first thing of use of force continuum is the presence of authority. My presence of calmness against irrationality. Cross this line, you're going to get a slap in the face. There's a game out there where they slap each other in the face.
Oh yeah,
Can you see that?
I have seen it. I'm ashamed to say that, but yeah.
What the hell is that about?
I haven't watched it with
You know what
great
that's
intent, but
about?
I don't know.
That has to do with getting rid of the bully on the playground that has manifested into that stupid game.
Really?
Because the bully on the playground will slap you in the face, and the circular correction of the bully on the playground is when you slap him in the face, and he's no longer a bully. We need bullies. We need Russ. We need Greg Gutfeld.
Oh,
because it's
Greg Gutfeld's not a bully though.
well, he's not in that terms that he seeks out. But you're not going to get away with ignorance around Greg Gutfeld. And that's the same thing with his show. The things he says on his show, you say, wow. But there's the women on his show aren't affected by it. It's like brothers and sisters,
Right.
giving each other's noogies.
Well, it's a comedy show, and he does the comedy, but he also handles very deep subject material that a lot of people are afraid to touch.
But still, a lot of the obscenity, the women get involved in it in their own way. They're not shunned by it. You understand? That's one of the great things about that show. You aren't going to offend them.
No,
and they don't, and they aren't going to cower because they're going to come on the attack too. It's like brothers and sisters on that show.
They join in. They're like real people.
Yeah. But that's what I have to say. Our children are better than their children, and you got to get up and read a book, and then read another book, and then read and read faster, and read faster and read faster.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. We're going to prevail. We're going to prevail even after these next 6 months, because our kids are better than their kids. And if you're listening, Democrats, get the hell out of here, because we don't want to.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir. You take care, Mike. Bye-bye. That was Mr. Mike. One of my listeners says, made a comment. What period does MAGA want to return again? America is always and is great. There has been serious issues that we have pulled through. We will get through the severe fractionalism being generated by MAGA and the Democrats. A great question. I don't know that MAGA wants to return to anything, necessarily return like I like the 50s. I'd like to be like the 50s or something. Nobody wants to do that. But we want to bring back smaller government as that an opportunity and take away this notion of everybody gets the same. The equity instead of equality, is terrible. I think the MAGA definitely wants to do that and stop recognizing race as either a problem or an advantage. That it's not about having victims and then perpetrators. It's we're all together, we're all the same, and ignore the skin color, ignore all that, which is illegal anyway. I mean, you can't do registration based on race. You can't bill people based on race and all that. That's illegal for good reason, because it was abused at times. Particularly against former slaves and stuff after 1865. It was terrible what was going on in that era. You can't use race and all that. So MAGA wants to get back to constitutionality and get back to what the Democrats have been doing to bring in more socialism and bring in more judging people by their DNA instead of the content of their character. Martin Luther King wouldn't make it today, or Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't make it today. He would be out of touch with the Democrats altogether. He wouldn't be able to do it. He was about equality, not equity. There's nobody that owes you anything, except, founding fathers made sense to give us opportunity that anybody could be anything, anybody can achieve anything. And I think that's what MAGA wants to turn to. And in fact, Make America Great Again was not really started by Trump, because I know Reagan and his campaign promotions, and I have a button at my house. It has an old Reagan button that had Make America Great Again. Except he said, let's make America great again instead of just make America great again. Trump dropped the let's off of it. But breaking news out of Minnesota today. I want to get, since I don't have much time, I didn't get to anything I wanted, or all of it I wanted. I got to a lot, but I didn't get to what I wanted. The breaking news out of Minnesota today: federal agents carried out one of the largest coordinated fraud enforcement actions in recent state history. I'm so glad to hear that, because we read about the fraud, we see it. Well, when are people going to be in handcuffs? Well, apparently today. The FBI, along with Homeland Security investigations and other law enforcement partners, executed search warrants at 22 locations across Minneapolis-St. Paul area early this morning. Authorities say the raids are tied to an ongoing investigation into suspected fraud involving publicly funded social service programs. Several daycare and child care related businesses are reportedly among the sites searched. Minnesota has been under increasing scrutiny over a series of major taxpayer-funded fraud scandals in recent years, including the massive Feeding Our Future case, where prosecutors allege hundreds of millions of dollars are stolen from a pandemic food program. Officials have not yet announced arrest or released the full list of targets, but investigators say more details are expected as the case develops. Today's operation signals an aggressive federal push to crack down on misuse of government funds and could mark the beginning of another major criminal prosecution in the state. We'll continue to follow the story and bring you updates as they come. That was written down in there. How great is that? Now, I'm really curious to see what Tampon Tim Waltz has to say about that. He's probably going to, say, my guess is, because he's done this all along, is blaming the federal government from picking on him, picking on his state, blowing things out of proportion, and it's just innocent people doing that. We'll see. We'll see. I'll be looking tonight to see what the reaction is from from AOC, from from Waltz and other Democrats and all that. Edward also points out King was a Republican. I have heard that he was a Republican, even though the Democrats, anytime I see a Democrat booth or something at the fair, they always have King up there. Let me see. Sally sent me a picture of Howard and I which I didn't set that camera up well. I'd forgotten he was coming, so the camera wasn't set up well, so it had a lot of stuff on the screen that shouldn't have been there, which I just flipped to it real quick. It wasn't set up properly. Good lesson for me. Set it up whether I'm going to use it or not, because you never know. You never know. Someone could walk in. I want to talk about air taxis real quick. Just air taxis are a thing of the future. Like George Jetson and all that. Apparently, they're testing flights right now. These air taxis, they look like these remote control quadcopters that you see that you get for kids for birthdays or something, or holidays or whatever. These quadcopters that have cameras on them. They're neat to play with, and they're easy to fly. Well, they're making them life size now. Where you can get on them. You get into them. And this Joby Aviation Incorporated has completed what they described as the first point-to-point electric vehicle takeoff and landing air taxi demonstration flights in New York City. So they put out a press conference, and I saw pictures of it. And it looks like a quadcopter, just with passengers and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't tell how much it was. The trips that they took were from John F. Kennedy International Airport and landed across the city's heliport network, including West 30th Street and East 34th Street on heliports in Midtown. And trips were taking under 10 minutes. So if you can get from the airport to town in under 10 minutes, that's significant. That's significant. I mean, I know people will fly helicopters into the city, but they have to land and stay at the airport. They don't get to go Central Park or anything, at least not legally. But they are running these tests now. The start of a week-long public campaign across the city's existing heliport networks. Of course, you got there just in time. I'm sure that Mandami will read about your press release and have an extra tax just for helicopters, or air taxis. He's going to put an extra tax on air taxis because they obviously have a lot of money. So he's looking for things to tax. So you may want to have a low profile, maybe get away from it, but it's too late. The bag's out. Kevin O'Toole, he's the Port Authority chairman, said the company worked with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey to launch test flights, which trace some routes in visions for future service. Now, test flights mean they're actually flying them over the city, so they must trust them not to fall out of the sky. He said this cutting-edge aircraft is exactly the kind of innovation we have a responsibility to test, understand, and help shape the good of the region and the public. The future of advanced air mobility is no longer a Jetson-esque fantasy. These flights advance our work to determine how next-generation aviation technology can serve the people of New York and New Jersey. Yeah, it won't be long. We'll get thousands of them buzzing all around. I think they can be coordinated. I said, the way the computer system's working out, and if these things have an AI for collision avoidance and everything, it's probably won't be a big problem with some of the technology we have now if we could upgrade our systems. See, these historic Joby, and Joby's the name of it, Joby Aviation flights, linking our city-owned heliport to our airports, proof that the future of advanced air mobility is no longer a Jetson, the same thing, Jetson-esque fantasy, more than one. It must have come out in the memo, so they're repeating it. The Joby Aviation CEO, Joe Ben Bevy, in terms of the price point, now see, I'm interested in that. Can I afford to do this? Our target is to be competitive with ground transportation over time. And what that tells you is that overtime isn't here yet. We're still working on overtime. So right now, the cost can be anywhere from $150 to $250. So, and that's going to be in the ballpark of many people that would be able to use that. That's not the price of ground transportation. That's higher. A lot of people commented on this story. It says, epic views, can I get a ride? And someone called New York City area's airport the worst in the country to reach. And that's interesting. Let's see. In 1964, Martin Luther King warned that the Republican Party risked becoming the white man's party if it abandoned its moderate pro-civil right wing, indicating his concern over the party's ideological direction at the time. I don't think it's a white man's party by any means. It's not really racial in the Republican Party. The Democrats are very racial. I mean, they point out race all the time, which is sad. Republican is more about policy driven and smaller government and all that. And I think the left intoxicated some minorities saying, we'll give you everything, which is basically enslaves them to the government. If government gives everything to you, they can take everything away. I think it's Republicans are more interested in giving opportunity, less government, less hurdles, and let's get everybody working and active. That's the way I see it. If I'm wrong, let me know, but not today because I'm out of time. And in fact, it's time for me to sign off. It's already 9 o'clock. It's Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow morning, and I know Dean's going to be in here, so we'll see you tomorrow. From Mortgage One Studios, I'm Russ Clark.